musical.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, December 18th Litchfield Budget Committee meeting. Call the meeting to order and start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to jump into the agenda here. Are there any review or additions to tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none.
We can table the school articles.
Sorry,
No.
not allowed.
Okay.
I will open it up for our first public input. Do we have any public input this evening? Seeing none, I will close public input. We'll have a second one before we adjourn this evening. Next on the agenda, we have correspondence. Thank you to Mr. Taylor for pulling this together. Correspondence. Since we met last week, December 11th, Chair Sun sent information on the health agency request received for the 2026 warrant. Also on December 11th, Chair Sun sent the town warrant articles. Matt Sullivan sent the meeting minutes from the December 4th meeting. Ms. Kleiner sent a correction for Article 9 of the warrant articles. Then on December 17th, Carrie Douglas requested newly required report entitled Mandatory Report to Voters on School Expenses. And then today, Chair Sun shared the school BA report and updated information on warrant articles. Chair Sun also shared the additional information on the fire warrant article as well as the town warrant articles link. So that is our correspondence since last week. Next on the agenda, we have review and acceptance of minutes from last week. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those?
Yes.
Motion to accept.
Motion from Mr. Burke.
Second.
Second by Ms. Douglas. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Motion carries 8-0-1. All right, moving right along. Tonight, we have our warrant article presentations by both the town and the school. Just a reminder to folks watching at home, there's no voting on warrant articles tonight. Tonight's just an opportunity to review the proposed warrant articles for the town and the school to present them to the budget committee, for the budget committee to ask questions. After tonight, the next budget committee meeting is on January the 8th, and that is when we will vote to support or not support the warrant articles that are presented this evening. So with that, we're going to move into town warrant article presentations first this evening. I know Ms. Kleiner is out, but we do have Ms. White here as well as Mr. Brunel and some various department heads that can provide additional context when we get to those warrant articles. So if everyone has the link, we are starting actually on Article 9. So the first article is election of officers, and then the next 7 articles are all zoning articles that we do not vote on. We only vote on those that have a potential tax impact. So we will start our review this evening with Article 9. For each of these, I will read the warrant article, and then that way, and then open it up for any additional context from Ms. White or Mr. Brunel or department heads, and then we can open it up for questions. So, Article 9, operating budget. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth in the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $8,419,995. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $8,120,423, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Litchfield or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 4013-10 and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Majority vote required. The estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 9 cents, and this has been recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0-0. Ms. White, Mr. Brunel, any additional context on Article 9?
No, I think it's been pretty well vetted out by the budget committee, so let me see how it makes up those numbers.
Any questions, comments on Article 9 this evening? We've spent a good amount of time on this already. Go ahead.
Question.
Yep, Mr. Taylor.
I guess the town warrant article shows the estimated tax impact of the proposed budget. Yet the school is presenting an estimated tax impact for not only the proposed budget, but also the default budget. Any reason why we can't have consistency and either both have it or neither have it? Or is this that you guys have two different lawyers that tell you two different things? Like we've heard before.
It's a good question. I
It is
don't,
a
I
good
don't know the reason why. We've never showed the tax impact of the default.
I thought you have. I thought you traditionally do.
No,
No.
No?
it's just the one.
Because that was my question too. Like,
I mean, if we can add, if the DRA will let us to add it and we can add it, we'll add it.
Yeah, our legal team has
Well, I
recommended
assume if
that
the
we.
DRA says yes, then
Yeah, I would
both
assume
can
so,
have
too.
it. If the DRA says no, it should be pretty
think-
clear.
Consistency's sake, I think they should both,
Yeah.
they should be the same, whatever they are.
Yeah, when Ms. Kleiner gets back, we'll figure that if we can add it and if it takes anything to do with it. And the board meets again on the 29th, so we have to revote this anyway because it was a clerical error when we voted it, so I don't believe the vote will change, so, but it'll come back again once it's cleaned.
And just to be clear from my perspective, the operating budget that we see here, the 8.4, that does not include anything to do with the IT manager position.
It's currently set at the current rate of the position.
Okay, so that's carried over
Yeah.
without, okay.
It's carried over at what the,
The current-
Existing
what the current
contract.
contract
is
is.
it subject to change though? I thought everything negotiated.
It will change, I would believe, if they finish what they were doing. I obviously don't have a lot of details around it, but I believe the increase is a couple $1,000s. It's not much of an increase for the first year.
So, something we'd likely see then at what, deliberative or the hearing or?
No, you'll see, they'll, the 29th when we revote it, I think like calculated there, so they'll bring it back to you again.
so it could, that 8,419 could go up a couple $1,000s based
I
on.
would think so, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on Article 9 this evening? All right, Article 10, police cruisers purchase. To see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement for the sum of $215,752 for the purpose of lease purchasing 3 police cruisers with equipment for the Litchfield Police Department, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $47,366 for the first year's payment for that purpose. First year's payment in the amount of $47,366 shall come from the unassigned fund balance, and no amount to be raised from taxation. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact is $0.00. Estimated tax impact for 2027 is 2 cents. Majority vote required. There's a table there that shows the breakdown of the tax impact for each of the 5 years. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 500. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White, any additional context on this one?
No additional context. I think we've all understand what the issues are with the cruisers today. We are in dire need of replacing the fleet. The decision was to cut it down to 3, to make it more compatible to the voters. But also, the reality of it is when we get these cars, we acquire these cars and get these cars built out, it takes over a year. We won't be able to get 6 cars fitted up in a year. So the idea of breaking it down, plus it also allows us to stagger the fleet, so we're not having things come off on time, so it makes more sense from our perspective.
So my question would be why, and we've had this discussion with other ones, why are we doing 0 tax impact year 1? Why aren't we just doing the tax impact from the start? So people know what the tax impact is from day 1.
Oh, because we're taking it from fund balance, so there is
Yeah, first year's.
no
fund balance.
tax impact the first year.
Every time we do that, people get like, oh,
But
you're
we-
playing
but-
games just to get it to pass.
But Kerry,
Like, do
we are showing the tax
It's showing
impact
the
right
tax
here. We're
impact.
showing the tax impact.
I understand that.
We're estimating tax impact in 2027 is 2 cents.
But what people are gonna do is they're gonna add up this year's tax impact and put it in a 0. The next year be like, why'd my taxes go up so much?
And,
Again, what else can we do? It's in the warrant.
but I
don't
know
like it.
I know we've had this discussion before, and I don't disagree with you, Ms. Douglas, but I think we've asked, and legally, this is the way it has to be written.
It has to be written with the 0
So wouldn't
tax
it be
impact?
for
Because-
28, 29, and 30 also 2 cents?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
The
Why is-
the PDF that was sent out
Yeah, I
has
think
the
it
corrected 2
Oh,
cents,
okay.
2 cents, 2
It's
cents.
supposed to be a live doc, so it must be a correct.
So
So, yeah,
It should be 2 cents every year going.
Got it. That was gonna be my question.
Yeah,
Okay,
PDF, it does say 2
Yeah.
cents.
Yeah.
thank you.
What is the expected unassigned fund balance looking like for December 31st? And how much of that gets eaten up by the 47,366.
Well, there's a couple of them. Kim and I were gonna go over all of the expenses, at the end of the year, see which bills, because we still have a couple of large ones that haven't come in yet, that we're, anticipating by the 31st, but if not, they're gonna have to encumber those funds. So we're gonna review everything when she gets back from vacation and, see where we're at. But I think our fund balance was at 11% when we just had, the tax rate done. So,
Yeah, Scott, your question's not directed to what's left in this year's.
Yeah, because I mean, sure, you're pulling it from the whole fund balance,
Right.
but how much do you have going, quote unquote, how much extra do you have at the end
So
of it?
right now, I believe Ms. Kleiner is calculating less than $50,000 to fall back in the fund balance.
So
and-
potentially you will have to cut into the existing fund
Yeah.
balance.
Oh,
to-
yeah.
to-
That won't
For
help.
future
And-
articles,
And I
yes.
think, the reality of it is with the snowstorms we just had and a bunch of things, that we're running really low in our overall budget. So if we have $50,000 set aside, that's for the fire truck. And so we're gonna end up with zero at the end of the year potentially. So we'll finish at our appropriation dollar amount, but there'll be nothing really left over.
Okay.
That's the expectations. You'll know more on the 29th when we get the final reports.
What year are the vehicles right now that we're having the most problems with?
They're all over the place. I believe the 19, the 2020, 21. Yeah, it's the older fleet, so it's I think we have an 18, a 19, and a 20, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't have that in front of me, but
I know they're changing vehicles. to-
we are. They're moving over to back to the Ford Explorer.
Right. So hopefully that, because what my concern is, and I said to the chief, is that, when he was looking for a 5-year lease,
Mhm.
the vehicles don't even seem to be lasting 5 years.
Well, these vehicles are well over 5 years old now, and they're still lasting. Just the maintenance costs are going way high.
Right.
And now they're at the end of their life. They'll go into the back end, they'll go into the back end fleet. So they'll be useful for a while, at least the newer of the
Yeah,
fleet. But
And I'm sure it's because the problems you had with Chevrolet that,
Chevrolet, the change in the motors was really causing our issues when the federal government changed their, the standards. That took basically a bullet-type, motor and made it flaws like crazy with the fuel system.
and something else I've been thinking about too, that he's talked about several times, that the reason for like this type of vehicle he's looking to purchase, because you need a pursuit vehicle.
It has to be a PPV vehicle, right?
Does it have to be by,
By standards, it has to be a pursuit vehicle for frontline. The administration cars that we have, those aren't pursuit vehicles, they are just regular street cars,
right, you're saying it has to be, but by whose standard?
by the police standards. And I believe I think it's federally required.
Okay.
Are all 5 of them, or all 3 of them necessary to be at that level?
All three, any cruiser that is in a pursuit role, which is all the frontline cars, they have to be pursuit.
And that's what these are,
These
that's
are all
what the,
PPVs, yeah.
I just think about the size of the town and like, by the time you start the pursuit, it ends. You're done.
We should get you some movies.
Well, we
Doesn't end
know,
that quickly.
well, we know you can hit those speeds on Albuquerque, I've heard stories.
Right, no, I'm just saying, like, they drop the pursuit though, once they get to town lines,
Well,
right?
the pursuit it's not just about pursuit. A PPV vehicle is built with heavier shock system, better transmission, different ratios and stuff like that. So it's built to last longer or take a beating, I guess would be the way I describe it.
That hasn't worked out though.
No. Well, actually, I'm in and out of those cars all day, or they do take a beating, so,
And there are cheaper vehicles available that,
not with PPV ratings.
well, regardless of whether or not they have the rating, there are vehicles available that would, in practice, do a better job of that.
Again, it
can
requires a
save us money.
PPV rated vehicle.
Is there an actual rule, though? Because other police departments are using these other
And
vehicles.
they're not, more than likely, they're either in traffic control. like Campus, or they're in, some other function, they're not in frontline.
maybe just a follow-up, can we just get if it's an RSA or whatever it is that is,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's police standings with
Yeah,
standards.
I'd like to see what the actual law is, because it seems like a lot of times there's a claim that we have to do a thing based on a law, and then no one can ever show me the law.
let's just capture that as a follow-up for tonight, or from tonight for the next meeting.
When the chief answered your question around EVs, didn't he give you that detail? I thought it was in
He
detail.
responded with a spreadsheet that had a total of 1 vehicle on it, which was a very cost-ineffective vehicle. He also priced an EV charger that somehow he found one that cost $9,000. You can buy an equivalent charger for $450. So I replied to it with some commonly used alternatives. I have no idea why he chose to include the most expensive options he could come up with. It doesn't seem to me like it was a serious effort to look for a
Well,
cost
we'll find out
savings.
where the standards come from, and we'll get that to you.
Thank you, John. Any additional questions or comments on Article 10 this evening? All right, Article 11, Ambulance Revolving Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be placed in the Ambulance Revolving Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from new taxation, majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 500. If you note there in red, currently there is a balance of $16,949.84 in this fund, and we have paid $20,483.01 in 2025. Ms. White, Mr. Brunel, any additional context on Article 11?
Not only to say that this is a warrant that's been here every year to deal with the non-payments of our ambulance services.
I just hope we're trying to recoup whatever we can.
Yeah, we are.
And remind me, has it been 20,000 consistent? Is that the,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I think there was a period of time when it wasn't that high.
No.
But as with everything else, if people are hitting hard times, times, I guess. We have more people in town.
You probably still have like another month's worth of invoices that
And
will
the
come.
Yeah, I
invoices
do.
lag too, so we already paid $20,000. We expect it to be the finish will be higher, and this will get the balance back so we have it for next year.
Anything else for Article 11? Article 12, General Assistance Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 to be placed in the General Assistance Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. This is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 410. There is a table there that shows a breakdown of the last 3 years, including this year, of the assistance that's been provided and the breakdown of that between electric, oil, gas, food, housing, transportation, water, and funerals. You can see that in 2023, the spend was $19,128.68. 2024, it was $32,228.90. And thus far in 2025, through November 20th, it's $27,978.94. Currently, this fund has a balance of $41,483.09. 2025 expenses have not been reimbursed to the general fund.
Correct.
Ms. White, Mr. Brunel, anything additional?
Nope.
So assuming we run at about the same rate on that, we're going to end 2025 near 2024's number, which would leave less than $10,000 once it's reimbursed to the general fund. Putting this $20,000 in would put the fund at about $30,000, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
And I think just to realize, remember, we have to support, any case comes in from a welfare perspective, we have to fund it. And I can tell you, I believe there's been an influx of lately, since the cold. So where we're at today, I suspect it's gonna go maybe a little higher than you even estimated at this point.
But ones that, obviously there's gonna be a mix probably of rentals and housing. Do we have the ability to recover some of it through, not even through liens, if you come owns the house?
I don't know, we can lien the house.
If they
yeah,
own,
the house,
if
yeah.
they own, you can lien it.
Nobody wants to do it, I get it, but we also have to be responsible
I
for
would
taxpayer
say,
funds.
I would say most folks that are coming are not, they're more than likely renters or displaced. And if they live in this town and they're displaced, we own the expense.
Until we can get them relocated.
Relocated into something that's, and we do work with the state, we do work hard to get them into different places. That doesn't cost the town any funds,
Or
but-
Section 8, right, we help them apply for,
Correct. Yeah, the office tries every which way not to expend the dollars, but it's unfortunate. And there are also the good reasons too. We have good citizens who are just having a tough time. And
no, absolutely, but and we're taking emotion out of it, just thinking about the taxpayers, if there's an opportunity to recover some of it, we should be diligent in trying to do that. Once people are back on their feet and better off.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions on Article 12 this evening?
Yeah, I'm just curious, why does it, not go 23, 24, 25? The chart. It's,
Because the newest ones are first.
I looked at it real quick and I go, oh, it's going down.
I don't know. I didn't crank the chart.
That table won't be on the ballot,
No,
or
this is.
No, I know.
it'll be in the voters
It may
voters
be in the
guide.
vote- Yeah, it could be in the voters guide, it's supporting details, but.
If it's
anything
going to
in
be
red won't be on the, it won't be in the warrant.
it's going to be in the voters guide, it's not a bad observation. That maybe we should flip that.
Yeah.
I'll let you take that back.
Anything else for Article 12? All right, Article 13, establish a capital reserve. To see if the town will vote to establish a town vehicle and equipment capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for replacing or maintaining town-wide critical vehicles and equipment, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to be placed in this fund. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Further, to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from said fund. Recommendations required, majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0-0. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to take out the ups and downs of the operating budget, try to reserve some funds from the savings to deal with capital. I think Kerry brings it up constantly. Have one
Pay
fund,
me
we'll do it.
to pay our taxes, man.
We did originally start to try to fund this with about $200,000, because I think that's, if we look beyond our fleet and where we're at, we have
That's the
millions of dollars.
annualized amount.
No, it's not the annualized amount, I think it's $20,000 we originally asked for. The board reduced it to $100,000 because they're concerned on the voters supporting $200,000 versus $100,000. It is coming from unassigned, so there is no tax impact. And this allows us to take money from unassigned that we can't get to normally without voters, we're put it in a place where we actually leverage it for these capital events. But,
So this is for primarily repair, or is this to
no,
save for
it's
purchase?
purchase.
Purchase.
Like, as we all know, well, we should remember how expensive it is to replace a fire truck. So putting a little bit away every year.
It does say maintaining in the article. It
That's
says
why
for
I-
replacing
Oh, yeah.
or maintaining.
Yeah, so they'll be able to do repairs out of it, but it is gonna be more larger repairs than would be unexpected things, I would assume. And ideally, this is to help us fund and replace vehicles. Like, if you look at the highway department, we have 3 or 4 trucks that need to be coming out of that fleet.
Right.
Even though we've refreshed a lot of the vehicles there, we still have older ones that gotta come out of the fleet.
No, and
5.
5.
We have
Yes.
5 2018 or older. And that's underfunded completely for what we need.
no,
But it's a start.
right, like, yes, I'd rather pay interest to ourselves than to some bond.
Right.
So if this helps us to build that fund for that purpose.
And also, when we have grant opportunities, like in the highway
Oh, yeah,
department,
you
this
do
allows us
match.
to be able to get this grant funding to actually help offset the.
Cause you have to do a match usually, right?
Yep.
And that way you're not stuck waiting.
I think right now, what the question is, from my perspective, I don't think $100,000 helps us in year one. We'll be putting more money in the following year too.
I could get you your, matching portion if you get a good enough grant, but, so the goal would be then to keep, just like the highway block grant, then this would become a more of an annual request.
My question with this one, John, is like the word critical, right? What's the purpose of including critical? I get the article. I like the article. I don't know, I like the
think
word
it's-
critical. Like if you say, hey,
Yeah.
right, the building inspector needs a new car, I wouldn't deem that as critical. But you could, like, if this is worded properly, you could technically use this fund for something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it says critical vehicles, so I think the idea was to deal with sort of a public safety and highway department.
So fire
Do you want to
trucks
clearly,
and
It
stuff.
should,
doesn't
should that be
say that.
clearly
No,
stated in the
that's
warrant
why we
article?
call it critical vehicle though, right?
That's what I would think,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah, we can, I mean, if you think the wording will help adding additional,
I think it gives the town more flexibility by removing critical.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'll give you
I think they're better off leaving critical.
I think that's why the word was put in originally, feeling that
I was trying to-
understand.
Well,
At
we
least
know what happens.
Less restrictive.
No, we know what happens when funds are less restrictive. They get used for other than intended purposes. So I actually like the critical on there, because to my mind, it comes to
Well,
fire
critical,
trucks,
it's up
plow
to the
trucks.
determination of the Board of Selectmen as to what
Sure, but
critical.
like you said, it's not gonna be a building, like, if you went and bought a building inspector car and then you're gonna face the town and say, but it was critical, you'd have a hard time
Well, I
So
mean,
that
the
one-
last building inspector car had holes in the floor, so I mean, you could make the argument it was critical at that
To
point.
his safety.
To him, but I'm pretty sure people wouldn't mind it not getting, you know. oh,
Any
I can
other
inspect my shed, done.
comments or questions on Article 13 this evening?
So I do have a follow-up question. So first of all, I fully support this. I've been saying we needed something like this. However, as I've gone through and added it up, you told me that you have nothing going into the fund this year, that basically you're gonna get by
Right.
the skin of your teeth, adding nothing, and as I've tallied it up, we're at $275,000.
So they're gonna pull 30
So
grand
is
out of it.
at 275, is that keep you at 11%?
Yeah, so taking, if everything passes, coming out of the unassigned, if I remember correctly, it brings our balance down to like 11. And it was
Yeah.
11%, which again is well within the range of our requirement.
But
I
you're
think
also-
the IRA has a restrict, has a range we.
8 to
do.
12, isn't it?
12, and we want to be above 9 and 10, I think typically, we try to stay above.
But you're potentially gonna recover 30,000 out of your one fund, so that,
And we could have extra revenues as well.
Right.
That will drop into
Because
fund
revenues will
balance.
drop in there.
It's a good observation.
So I guess
Mr. Chair.
one follow-up question though. So, okay, your your unassigned balance fund, let's just say is 11%, right? It's 11% of your budget, correct?
And school and county.
Yeah, kind of schooling.
Okay. That
Yeah.
that was gonna be my concern, is that obviously the school is a lot more,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you have to float them until,
Yeah,
the first few months. Is that,
Yeah,
is
no.
that really enough? But if it is 11% of both town and school, never mind.
It's all
Okay.
of our expenses, anything that has to leave our bank.
Okay.
is based on, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else for Article 13 this evening?
School, won't mind waiting a month or so for money.
Article
We have a
14.
payment plan with the school to make sure that works out right.
That's right.
Article 14, Human Services and Health Agencies. And just as a note, there's a link with additional information there right under the article if you're in the Google Doc. Maybe not the PDF. I don't think it's in the
Sorry
PDF.
about that.
Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,800 to support human services and health agencies providing services to the town of Litchfield? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen 500. There is a table below that that shows the committee reviewed proposals and made recommendations. You can see a breakdown of those across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 different organizations, totaling the $21,800. Are there, Ms. White, Mr. Brunel, any additional context on Article 14?
I would just say that the agencies that requesting the funds are the ones that have been requesting over the years. They have shown proof that they are supporting Litchfield, and the funds were aligned based on their support of Litchfield residents.
Any questions on Article 14 or comments?
This appears to just be forced charity. We're taking tax money and giving it to a list of organizations.
These as I said earlier, these organizations help residents within the town.
Sure, but why can't residents of the town decide for themselves what they want to donate to?
The residents are deciding
This is
whether
deciding.
to approve this article or not. We're giving the residents a choice.
Sure, but, well, you're giving a majority of residents the choice to decide for everyone.
So
where
to
they
be
want.
fair, this used to be in the budget.
Correct.
So now it's at least a warrant article, so people have an opportunity to say yes or no. One question I would have is like Harbor Homes, there's no request and nothing approved, so why is it even there?
It's just because it's been there before.
Uh,
so it's
Well,
part of
not
this-
in the
it's just
last
part of-
couple years.
Part of the history, yeah.
The same for Litchfield Women's Club.
Yeah, I
I
think that
just-
organization doesn't exist anymore.
Any other?
John, don't a couple of these, like the mental health one, has something as far as the agreement that they provide to the town, X number of Litchfield residents
They all,
have utilized the service, and that's how they,
That's in here. The argument often is that we also fund this at a county level. So are we being double dipped? So there's that argument. I mean, you could make the argument also that some people may not care because they believe strongly in these services and people do benefit. Ultimately, I don't disagree with your opinion on this, which is why I traditionally have been like, I abstain. People want to vote to say yes, go for it. They want to say no, go for it. Has no big impact. But the reality is there are people in town that do benefit in ways that, that are, I don't know if they benefit, that save the town some money, because we don't have to pay for them directly. And is it forced charity? You could argue that, yeah.
Did you, Mr. Taylor, did you get an answer to your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on Article 14 this evening? Article 15, additional paving. To raise and appropriate the sum of $150,000 to supplement the Highway Department's budget and fund additional paving costs within the town of Litchfield. Expenditure of said funds to be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen in their discretion if determined to be necessary and in the best interest of the town. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 7 cents. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 4-1-0. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White, and Mr. Brown.
Yep, so Mr. Brown is here, our road agent, so I'll let him fill in the kind of technical details, but as, if folks will remember, this warrant article was in past warrants. This was our effort to try to get ahead of our road program and get our roads, our infrastructure maintained at a better rate or better practice.
It used to be 200 grand.
Well, it was 200 grand when it was requested. The board actually reduced it to $100,000 or $125,000, and the last time we got it back to $150.
Oh, is this the
It's
highest?
about 150, yeah. And that could change at next meeting, we don't know, but, right now it's at $150,000, which is basically in addition to what's in our operating budget, which is what something Kevin uses typically.
10,000.
Yeah.
So we get $200,000 from the state approximately,
Mhm.
and line 573 of my budget, you can look at it as $10,000, which is raised by taxes.
Do we
That's
not
it.
have this in, it's been a while since we've had this?
So when I started 6 years ago, there was a $200,000 warrant article that had been going along, if you remember. And then when they finished the fire station, the selectmen decided to stop that for a while,
Right.
to offset the impact from the fire station. NRPC does a 6-year plan. They come and inspect our roads and give us a grading on all of our roads, which I've pretty much gone by. We're at the point now where I can't overlay anymore. There's no more roads overlay. Now I have to get into the actual reclaiming and doing, so it's more expensive. We do have a project down in Essenkeg and Chemo, which is a stormwater project and paving, which will take up that $200,000 for that project by itself. Like I said, we only raise $10,000 a year from town taxes for paving. We need more money. We need more money. We have roads, Pearson, Talent, Century that need to be reclaimed and redone over. We need to get into the deep reclaiming. So we're asking for more money, going back to that warrant.
Kevin, is the Nessenkeg, is there safety concerns there?
Absolutely. We've had 3 sinkholes. We did $15,000 worth of work this summer on 100-foot section, just to repair that piping. Now, if we replace all the piping, which needs to, because it's old galvanized, 50-year-old galvanized pipe, we're gonna need to do cross cuts through the road, which would, undermine the road. So it would be the perfect time to redo the entire road at the same time. Chemo, it runs up the side of the road, we'd have to do that piping also, but the road itself was part of the PFOA, whatever you wanna call it, where they repaired the roads under the PFOA, so that road will stay, that's fine. But that will take everything we get from the state just to do that. 6 years ago when I started, the asphalt was at $46 a ton, we're at $115 a ton now. We're working on the same $200,000 we have for 6 years. We've been making it work, but now we're getting to the point where it's not enough at the rate of asphalt.
Thank you.
But
So,
is there any way in the voter's guide that you could actually put in there that the roads are at the point that
Yeah.
you have to grind them down and they can't be topped off?
We'd have to check with Kim and see what the wording that we can put in there. I'm not sure.
because in the past, they actually have included, like, what is initially proposed. This would be our first ranked project unless something changes, so people had an idea of where the money was going.
Well, we do that through CIP.
No, but I'm saying it used to
In
be.
the voters'
it used to-
guide.
No, it used to be in the warrant
No, it
article.
was never.
No.
Yes,
Yeah, it was.
it was.
No, it wasn't, because if you do that,
In the voter's
what, you
guide.
actually put in the warrant article, because I know the
Yeah.
last one was.
It was a while ago. It had a few, unless something changed, yeah. It might have been 1 year or 2 years.
I was gonna say.
I
because
just
the
remember
reason-
seeing it, like, oh, okay.
The reason why we wouldn't wanna put it in there is because something can change.
Sure.
Well, there
So
was
we don't
wording.
want people to think that would.
Proposed projects are, and I don't think it has to be in the warrant, but I think having it in the
Yeah,
voters'
the
guide
voters'
is.
guide, I agree.
It should be somewhere, and I would swear I'd seen it on the warrant article.
There may have been a warrant article specifically for a road project we had, but not for this part of the
I mean,
project.
it was
We'll
legal,
agree to
it was legal to
disagree.
do, we have the information, I absolutely can give them quoted prices and.
Well, it's not so much that, and I can understand people like, well, it's not my street, but the reality is eventually it will be your street. And then, like, gave people an idea of like, well, how far does 200 grand go, kind of thing.
I think the reality of it is, in the last 6 years, like you said, the cost of, material has gone so far up, you can't continue with this
Right.
$10,000 or $200,000 block grant, which gets reduced every year too, so.
No, I hear you. I just, like I said, right now it's kind of ambiguous. If there was at least some indication of, well, what are we planning to do with this money, we'd get more support.
Yeah, I think that'll go in the voter's guide, and like I said, I don't recall it being actually listed in the warrant article for this specific use case. of the warrant.
We'll agree to disagree.
Any other questions or comments on Article 15 this evening?
Where does the end of Pinecrest and CBH fall? Like, to middle school to CBH?
Oh, the
That,
Hyatt
is
State
that, yeah,
versus-
it's all like,
Down the bottom of the list,
really?
yeah. No, not the bottom, I wouldn't say the bottom, but we have roads that are a lot worse.
Wow.
You know, and like I said, next year, NRPC is gonna come out and do another, grading of all of our roads, it's part of what they do for us. And, we'll know better by that, you know, I can tell you which roads, I drive them every single day, I'll tell you which roads. Like I said, Pearson, the end of Pearson's worse, in Talent, the west side of Talent in its entirety is worse. The Talent, actually both sides, but the side up by Pilgrim is really bad. You know, Chatfield's in rough shape. It's gonna need it, so, you know, so get a lot of frost heaving. So you might not see the holes in the summertime, may not find it, but you get the frost heaving in the winter. You know, so we do have a lot of roads that need complete reclamation, not just an overlay.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Once we get through that, you know, we back to overlaying, and we can, you know, we can actually maybe cut back, I don't know. But
Put my
because,
street at the bottom because I want people slow.
let's put a speed bump on you.
Anything else for Mr. Brown this evening?
They paved it and all of a sudden the speeds went up. I'm like, no!
All right, thank you, Kevin. Article 16, Recreation Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 to be placed in the Recreation Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. This one has not been voted on yet by the Board of Selectmen. This expendable trust fund currently has a balance of $51,416.14. Mr. Burnell, Ms. White.
Yeah, as you stated, the board has taken no action on it. They put it on hold because we've asked the rec commission for some details around what they're expecting to utilize
Right.
this funding for. I did invite the chair here tonight, but he may have had another appointment, so we'll find out more on the 29th. And
Appreciate
Could
that.
could we, maybe as a follow-up to Mr. Burns, just if he can provide anything in writing, since we don't meet again until voting on January 8th? If he's able to provide that in writing to the budget committee, that would be helpful.
Yep.
Thank you.
John, is that 25,000 coming out of the 51,000?
Yes, and that project's on hold due to
Yeah.
issues, so I don't really know the
I don't think
status.
they're gonna
So
do
they,
it.
Yeah, so that piece is confusing, like, okay,
Yeah.
so not complete. I don't know of a project
So
you don't
I
put
believe-
money down,
And I'll-
so like, is it
I thought it was
25
done.
total, 25 left?
I will defer to Ms. White, but I believe the balance of 51,416. There is a $25,000 allocation that was made, and I don't think they've expended it yet, or at least not in total.
That's correct.
And we're not sure if that project's gonna go forward at the current dollar amount.
I thought originally the expectation was that project was gonna cost more than 25 grand.
The story I understand is they found a local
Okay.
contractor that was able to do it for a lot less.
Okay.
But I think they've run into some issues with putting some
Subflooring.
foam into the floors, but there's no
Yeah.
underneath.
Uh,
So they kinda it's kinda on hold right now at this point, so. I
So
don't
if they
know
don't spend it, is there gonna be 76,000 in that? or-
No, there's still
what's going on. No, it's only
51.
$51,000 in there now.
The 51 is
25,000
inclusive of the 25.
Right,
So-
but if they don't use it, now it's, like, to
No,
his
no.
point, it's,
No, it's still 51.
Yeah, it hasn't been.
If they spent the 25, it would be $26,416.
so yeah, I would be curious as to why are we putting 50,000 in if there's no plan for this?
That was what the board had.
Good question then,
So-
good job.
So
I
we'll,
believe that it's on the 29th, because that's when we'll
Right.
try to vote this again. I think we've asked for information prior to
December
that.
29th?
December
Yes.
29th.
Oh, Bless you. So committed.
All right, we're gonna,
My follow-up to your ask is, I want to go, no-go final decision on the 29th about these floors. And if it's, I don't know, that turns into a no. Because we can't just leave this like 25K just floating around and then you ask for 50.
well, I think it's also understanding what's the purpose of the additional 50K too, yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we'll leave that one since, and we'll wait to hear from Mr. Burns on that. Next, we have Article 17, to establish a legal expendable trust fund, to see if the town will vote to establish a legal expendable trust fund per RSA 3119A for the purpose of funding unanticipated legal expenses and to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in the fund. Further, to name the selectmen as agents to expend from the fund. This sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from taxation. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact $0.00. Majority vote required. This has been recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 410. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White.
This is as the warrant says, we're creating an expendable trust fund to put aside, a contingency for legal fees, right? So the idea is that the legal fees were, in the budget was 35,000 or something like that. And if you look year over year, it was it's up and down, so we wanted to flatten it out. So we reduced the operating budget and we were creating this fund to actually fund the overages we have going forward.
So I guess what they would ask, it goes up and down in part because every so often we have to negotiate a contract. That's not unexpected. So what, is this?
Well, it's all unexpected. I mean, the board deals with legal a lot in all kinds of events and efforts, so. We do have a contract coming up next year, I believe, is the police union's contract up next year, so we'll have to use legal fees next year.
I mean, the big costs that we've had were the PFOAs and the the drainage, whatever.
There's another one too,
There is,
from this building.
from this building. The legal fee?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic. That shouldn't be unexpected then if we already know about it.
In this building?
Well, from this building, I'm saying.
Previously from this building.
Oh, previously in this building, yeah. We've had
Yeah.
spikes because of it, yes, absolutely.
Just a couple of, I think, more grammatical things, just from a consistency standpoint. If where it says further to name, just consistency, time back to the other one where you're establishing a trust fund, say Board of Selectmen instead of Selectmen, and then the sum to come from the fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. We can just add those in there. I think that provides consistency between the other one where you're establishing a trust fund.
What was the other question? Other one?
New taxation, the last sentence there, just add new in front of taxation.
For some reason she gave me right access, that's dangerous.
Any other comments or questions on Article 17? Article,
The hyphen too, there's two hyphens next to 17.
thanks for calling that out. Good catch.
It's been bothering me.
Article 18, supplemental fire coverage. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $218,400 to supplement the fire department's budget to allow for increased coverage overnight as necessary to protect the safety and welfare of the residents of Litchfield. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 11 cents. Excuse me. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-0. There's some additional context there in red. I think that shows a breakdown of 2 per diem firefighters overnight, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., the hours, the weeks, the cost. And then also circulated earlier today was a PDF that had additional context from the chief. Before we go into any questions, I'll turn it over to the captain, Mr. Brunel, Ms. White, for any additional context this evening.
So I will just say one thing. In the next coming board meeting, I will be making a motion to make an adjustment to this. This has already been shared with the board. We just haven't had a vote on it yet. So the way the warrant was written, it's based on 52 weeks. The reality of it is, it'll be probably about 40 weeks. It's per diem, so we're not gonna be able to hire we're not gonna be able to start staffing until probably April, would be reasonable. So I've made the suggestion to reduce it to 40 weeks. The same calculation works out, it'll end up being, the warrant will be for $168,000 for the first year. The $218,400, yes, that would be the year-over-year ongoing cost, but we don't wanna raise $218,000 and have.
You can include that
Yeah.
information for year two.
Yeah, am I getting a table?
Yes.
There is a proposed.
We're all thinking
There
the
is
same
a-
thing.
There is a proposed to add additional wording to note that, what the impact is going forward, so, and I thought it was gonna be in this document, but it wasn't, but, we'll make sure you guys.
So the article will say 168,000. The tax impact will go down. Yeah, for year one, tax impact will go down. So it'll say 168,000 for year one, and then recurring costs after the first year of 218,400, and then you'll have a table that will show tax impact on the 168K and then tax impact on the 218,400.
Well, for year two, it should be more than that, cause there'll be a raise increase.
It's per diem, they don't get raises. And it's
You're
about-
honestly gonna tell me
it's-
you're not
so,
gonna pay them more than
The
you
one
did?
thing I will say, and I'm sure the captain can fill you in too, the way this was calculated was on a blended dollar amount. So it's the cost for a shift's gonna vary,
Okay.
and this was sort of the medium of that shift, so.
We basically took the highest paid person on the payroll per call, on the call department side, if you looked at all the grades that were broken down, and then we took the lowest grade. You met in the middle, multiplied by 2.
Okay.
That's where we got the funds. Because some days you'll hire 2 people at the cheaper end, and other days you could hire 2 people at the higher end.
So
And I think it's also important to note too, these are, just like we have, the per diem position in the daytime, this is not a set person, this is not a person being paid benefits, this is a skilled firefighter that we're basically getting to come in and work for us, during the evenings. So there's no benefit liability to us, right?
And how successful were we on staffing the per diem on the weekends this past year?
We have staffing on.
This past year,
I thought we had moments where we actually did not staff for the
So-
dispatch.
there may have been a day where there's
Oh, so it's
a
been
person
consistent.
there, but
Okay.
then on the flip side of all of that, there is an on-call officer that supplements the coverage.
All right, so.
It could be myself, it could be the other call captain, there's
I
4
just hate
lieutenants.
to pay for it and then not be able to obtain the labor.
We have, up until recent, because of an issue we had last week with a family emergency on my side, we ran one day with one person, but the chief was in the building to supplement the
I
third
hope
person.
everything's okay. Right.
And just so everybody knows too, I did already have a conversation with Chief about this, he's in agreement with the change. He understands the math, again, it's just a math, I don't wanna see us raising an extra
Yeah.
$60,000
Sure.
when we don't need to raise this and stuff.
Mr. LaPlante.
Just so I understand this properly, the primary purpose of the article is to basically, provide, emergency services at night for the town?
Coverage at
Coverage,
night,
yeah.
paid coverage at night, because right now, after 4 o'clock, we go home, it's all on call. And the trend that if you've been paying attention, and people listen on Scannerland, some nights we get 1 person, some nights we get 2, other nights we could get 4. It's hit or miss. If people are around, the days of people being at home available, everybody's working more, longer hours. They have main jobs. This is something they did on the side back in the day when volunteerism was high. The trends are there that we're not seeing the volunteerism. We're not seeing the numbers. We're getting more per diems on our roster than we are call people.
And the expectation is if they're not on call, if they're not out on a call, they're doing something productive for the day
So
shift to prepare.
they'll
or-
supplement the call staff. It doesn't mean that the call division will go away. They'll be there. It will just be, there will be 2 people in that building guaranteed to go out on a call instead of the on-call officer going out by himself at night.
Just like the
Which
weekend
is-
coverage.
Just like weekend coverage. Yeah.
It's similar to the weekend coverage. 2 people in the building, it'll be a quicker response to get to the call.
So I'm curious, you said they're gonna be qualified firefighters, so.
They're all fire
So I'm
certified, yes.
assuming they're coming from a day job,
So
right?
I can show you the roster, probably 90% of our per diems are full-time firefighters in other
Right.
communities. They work here as a per diem during the day to supplement our third person, and on the weekends they fill in. This will be 2 people at night that are certified firefighters for, let's say,
So
Manchester, Nashua,
I guess what I'm getting
Londonderry.
at, that they need to sleep at some point.
That's where I was going with this.
And this firehouse is not set up for bedding.
So we have made some changes, because we do have one on-call officer right now that is full-time in another city. He comes here to cover at night. We have augmented one of the offices into a makeshift bedroom. So with a little tweaking of the building, and I get it, this is another issue that, just like the police station, right? We're limited on our size, but we're trying to overcome and adapt to make it work. So we'll figure it out, we'll get the space.
Well, that was my question with, if, when they're not out on a call, are they being productive for you guys to prepare you for the day, or can they sleep? You know,
Well,
just
so during the day, there's chores to be done, inspections to be happening. At night, at 2 o'clock in the morning, if they're not doing anything, replacing apparatus, cleaning equipment, they're probably sleeping or resting. Whether that's on a couch, a bed, yes, they're relaxed.
And thank you guys for the detailed information that was shared today. I think there were kind of 3 data points that stood out to me when I read that. I think one was the difference in response time when you look at when the station is manned versus not manned. You saw a 3 to 4 minute response versus a 7 to 15 minute response. So that statistic stood out to me.
Yep.
The other one was 50% of the 900 plus calls are happening in this window that we're talking about.
And actually, that's starting with, because again, Litchfield is the bedroom community, right? Everybody during the day is at work, out of the community. When they come home, those numbers are starting to increase, where it's becoming, they're doing more calls at night past 4 o'clock versus during the day.
Yep. And then, the other one that kind of stood out to me was, and I think this was, those are obviously good statistics. The other one that was probably maybe a little more anecdotal, but still was interesting, was kind of this shift in employers not letting employees be late or miss work because of volunteer on-call firefighters as second jobs. So, I think that was a
Well, that just, to Mr. Bork's point,
right.
They're full-time in Nashua, they're full-time in Londonderry, they're full-time in Manchester. They have to be on duty at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
or they get written up for being late.
Right.
So most of them, if they're on call at night, I already know at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, they're leaving, going to work. I am up usually at 6 o'clock in the morning. If there's a call coming in, I'm out the door and going to the call.
Yep.
So there's that between the hours of 4 PM and I would say 6:30. There's that open window that maybe somebody might be in town. And then on the flip side, between, I say 5 in the morning till 8 in the morning, there's probably 1 or 2 maybe call members still in town. And that's the thing, is people are working longer hours, they're further away from the community, where the numbers are starting to dwindle on the call side.
I think, my only thought is, I do see the need for this. I'm questioning, like, how you tell that story on the Warren article and in the voter guide. Like, the narrative that you shared with us, I don't think can be put in the voter's guide.
It's
It can't, but
self-explanatory.
it's kind of,
I don't disagree with you, but I'm just
I
saying
think-
for the average voter that's gonna look at the tax impact, like, to understand those data points, like, I think it has to be included in there
so
somewhere.
as we always put it out to everybody, we're in that building Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. Come in and talk to us. The chief and myself are in the building. We can speak to this article, and we'd be more than happy to get people the information that they need to sell this to the voters. It's something that the town needs to start working towards, and this is one way to supplement staffing, very slowly impacting the tax rate, which is cheaper with per diems than flipping the switch and going 24-hour coverage in this town.
So I just know that when we built the fire station, that was a big concern about a lot of people, was how long until we go full 24/7, and the argument was not for a long time.
Well-
And it turns out not for a long time is like 5 years.
You can't predict that in our line of work. Same as
No,
the
I
police. We
under-
can't predict our
Cutting
calls.
the building down now?
So, no, I'm saying is,
I did.
huh?
We cut the building down.
No,
We
actually,
took
I
out the
don't. I
space-
think,
We took out the spaces that we actually.
We took out the wing of buildings that would have been future expansion for bedrooms.
for a reason. So, I think it's gonna
Right,
come
well-
down to personal perspective. Like, do people believe that we should be moving towards 24/7, or do they believe that they're okay with what it is? It's gonna be a personal vote. It's gonna be a personal vote.
They cut the back. of the
But
building,
to Mr. Davidson's point, that we're going to try and sell it, that
Right.
this is starting to happen. We're one of the only communities in southern New Hampshire that does not have 24-hour full-time coverage.
I think if you, from someone who's actually called in the off hours and had to wait, that window of time is one of the most longest times in your life.
Yeah, sure, but I had a friend whose kid was choking in Hudson, it still took 12 minutes, and that was a full-time thing, so,
But
So it's just, I'm saying, like, 12 to 15 is not necess, depending on where you are in
This is a
certain areas.
no-brainer. Like,
You-
I was gonna say, we're comparing,
I
we're
think
comparing,
Bottom line is the
Towns to
community
town.
safety is an important thing, and we let the voters make a decision. They're gonna be able to sign up and down.
This-
It will be up to the, it'll be up to the department.
I can bring it up that last night, after 12 o'clock, midnight, there were 3 calls between midnight and 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And the same people, 2 people went on those calls.
So again,
happening
it's
more
gonna
and
be,
more.
And we
it's
have
gonna be
what?
up to the people.
Any
10, 55-plus communities in town?
Right.
9, 10, 10?
10.
Right, 10.
55 and older
Right? I
communities.
mean, come on. Why, change the topic. Why was the board split on this?
I think it was because of the cost. 100% around the cost.
Which I agree with.
will that vote change if the dollar amount goes down?
I don't know. I can't predict.
Well, it only goes down temporarily. It comes back to this by year 2.
I'm shocked that this was a split vote. Shocked.
Any additional comments or questions
I
on
think-
Article 18?
It would
Yes.
probably come down to, have you been in the building when people are coming in terrified about their tax bills? Some of these Board of Selectmen have been in there with people who
Again.
cannot afford it.
Safety.
Well, sure, you can be safe in a town you can't afford to live in which case the safety issue goes away.
Mr. Taylor, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to ask 2 budget-related questions instead of commentary. So question number 1, the chief has mentioned in the past, during previous budgets, that the overtime budget is necessary because historically, he and whoever else always end up on a call at
Myself.
4 o'clock or
We did it
three-
today.
three-
We did it
3:45.
today.
So hold on,
Four- 4:05.
if I could just ask my
Yep.
question. Therefore, if you have somebody coming on now at 4 o'clock, that overtime could be reduced because you can do a handoff of your shift to the new shift then, right?
Dependent on what the call is. If it's a medical call, with 2 people coming in the door at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever, I don't have to go on that call. If it's a building fire, 2 people are not responding on a building fire. You're
Sure.
going to need more people.
Yeah,
So,
the
again, it's-
examples
it's a
that we
roll of
usually
the dice-
given
it's
was, you
roll
know,
of
a
the
car
dice of
accident or
What call's
something.
coming in next, and the number of people you're gonna need to go out and resolve that issue.
Okay.
But yes, to your point.
But compared to the number of
4 o'clock-
calls that
4
you
o'clock this
have,
afternoon, had there been 2 per diems coming in at 4 PM.
Yep.
And the kid that fell down at, not to release,
no. So
If it fell down and got
let me try to
injured,
generalize it here
they
for a
would have
second.
gotten in the truck and left, and I would have gone home at 4 o'clock and not charged the town an hour of overtime.
Yeah, Scott, I
So,
think your question.
hold on, can I
Go ahead.
please just
Scott, yeah,
finish
Scott,
asking my question?
Scott, go ahead.
So, again, when we talk about overtime, I understand that, look, you know what? Something like a building fire is not going to allow you to have a handoff. But I think if you took a look at the number of calls and the ones that fall into a category of you can't hand off, now I need 4 people there, versus the number of calls that are probably a much larger number where it could be a handoff.
Yep.
I'll ask my question again. Can I expect, or can I hope to not get as much pushback that if this passes, next year, overtime could be revisited and lowered based on the fact that you can hand off and you don't have to have overtime?
I won't say guaranteed it will be lowered until we play it out and see where the cards fall. How's that?
Well-
I'm not going to say, yes,
I
it's
will-
going to lower. I'm not going to guarantee anything because I don't know. To Ms. Douglas's point, if I can't fill and there's only 1 person covering, you might need a second person. But we're going to keep an on-call person in the rotation until this plays out for a few months to make sure that the shifts are getting filled and there's 2 people leaving to kind of help cover those over expenditures on certain lines.
John, go ahead.
Yeah, so, Mr. Taylor, I would say that I will still be on the board next year, I think. It will be reviewed, because I agree with you that if this program works correctly, and again, it is about the mix of the calls and how frequently they come in, that you would assume that line should be able to go down at some factor. It may not go down a lot the first year, but it should go down at some factor.
Okay.
If the trends continue the way they are with these multiple calls back-to-backs in the evenings, I don't see the number going down. But we'll be able to look at the data and see how it plays out.
I would agree with that logic.
So, but yes, I think it's a fair ask to go, come in 2027, we're doing that 2027 budget. Your question should be to us, did you look at this? And we should be saying yes, and this is how we come up with a number, why?
Okay. And
Mr.
then
Taylor,
budget-
second question.
Yeah, budget item number 2, then same premise. Can I expect that then, when we start talking about training, do you need 22 members of a fire department, to your point, if then at that point, your response rate is lessening when you do ring the bell and look for those on-call firefighters, yet now you
I
have
would-
two people committed, can the overall number of firefighters
On
be-
training, I would
say
still
no.
say that if I can get 22 members to show up at training every week so that they're ready to go and know their job, I'm comfortable with that.
even if they show up once a quarter to a call?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the thing. At
There's-
what point is there, like, I spend
If-
more money on training than I actually get out
I think the
of?
problem with the fire service in general is you need a workforce, and that
Right.
workforce needs to be able to scale up and scale down. You cannot not train for that need when you need them. So you
And-
have to constantly train them to have them be ready for service, even if they don't come to a call. I mean, there is an expectation that the call fighter will show up at one call at some point in time in a month, right? Or they're being spoken to, I guess, at that point.
I was gonna say, we keep a watchful eye, I myself, on attendance and percentages.
Okay.
And the people that are kind of the ones you never see, they get a little, say, email from the captain saying, I haven't seen your face around recently, or I haven't seen you on a payroll sheet. Where are you? Are you still going to be part of this organization?
Yep.
It happens frequently.
And I would say that even though these per diem folks are well-trained and potentially may hold better certifications than some of our current call firefighters, having them be in the same room and going through the same training program, working together, that builds that team and they understand direction.
So I think Mr. Taylor's brought up two good points that don't necessarily impact this year's budget, but are things for us to keep an eye on that should this warrant article pass, we should absolutely be looking at and having a conversation next year about the impacts that this has on certain other overtime training, other line items within the fire budget.
I think the call line would go down too, because there's two people there already, so you're not gonna
Right.
need two people coming in.
You're
I mean,
potentially-
I can tell you, we all have a responding app on our phone. So when a call goes out, I can sit at home, bring it up, and look and see who's going on the call. And if there's 4 people going on the call,
You're not going.
I don't go. If it's a simple medical, to your point, I don't go. If it's, somebody having a cardiac event that's more serious and one person's going, I'm getting up off the couch and I'm leaving. Because I'm also trained as a paramedic.
Yep.
So,
Good observations, good things for us to keep eyes on for next year. Any additional questions or comments around Article 18 supplemental fire coverage?
I just wish we could trade some less critical things for this, rather than everything just increasing the tax rate, the tax amount. I feel like there's a lot of things in our budget that don't have the potential benefits this has, that aren't gonna kill people if we don't have them.
Thank you. All right, anything else on 18? Thank you, Captain, appreciate it.
enjoy it.
Article 19, library earned time expendable trust fund. That's a mouthful. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 to be placed in the library earned time accrual expendable trust fund as previously established? Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 0.4 of a cent. This was not recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 2-3-0. Currently, if you notice in red, it's kind of at the top of the next page. This fund balance is $1,074.89 as of November 2025. Best practices require the balance be equal to payout of earned time for employees. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White.
I don't have
It's
anything else
not
to add.
here.
Maybe the question then going to Mr. Cutters from a previous one, rationale as to why this was not recommended by the Board of Selectmen?
No, cannot explain.
Okay, thank you.
One question I would have is why wouldn't it come from unexpended funds out of the library budget? I mean, if it's associated with time earned that would be paid to library employees, why would it not come out of their budget? Why would it have to be
Raised and appropriated.
raised and appropriated? They have a fund, they have a budget. Use theirs.
I don't believe they've ever returned any money to us.
I was gonna say you'd have to add $8,000 to their budget.
No, it's just whatever that is. Is it 8,000? Okay. No, they can find 8,000. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It-
yeah.
Are there any,
So a lot of it, I believe, is they had somebody leave last year, and she was eligible to cash out what she had unused.
Refunded, basically.
Yeah.
any Any questions that maybe we need to parking lot for the library?
Is that the result of being a full-time employee, or do part-time employees also eligible for that?
I don't know their policy, honestly.
Because I just know
But
that they
I
have a
know
lower
that they-
threshold for full-time.
They have a lower threshold.
They do.
So,
Can we-
again, is this the result of?
For our time, I don't know.
Can we capture that as a follow-up question then is, does this apply to all employees or just full-time? Right? Is that
Yeah,
the spirit
I
of your
mean,
question?
Yes, like, is it the result of being full-time? Is a full-time benefit or whatever?
Any other questions on Article 19? Article 20, additional town clerk hours. Shall the town vote to increase the weekly hours of the town clerk, one part-time position, from 34 hours per week to a full-time position at 40 hours per week, effective April 1st, 2026, for an estimated annual wage benefit and other related costs of $23,020.99, and further vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $16,162.87 for wage benefit and other related costs for the period of April 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. The estimated tax rate impact is 1 cent, majority vote required. See a table that has the breakdown of the 2026 costs, which is for that 9-month period, and then the table that shows the 2027 costs, which would be the 12-month impact for that. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 4-1-0. Ms. White, Mr. Brunel.
You wanna speak to it? You want me to?
You can.
So Terry couldn't be here tonight, so she had some apologies, she had another appointment, but this is basically taking a current, part-time employee, moving to a full-time position,
Can I use a gavel?
and, something I believe that the town clerk's office needs to kind of stabilize in their resources. They've been floating back and forth from part-time and full-time, and they wanna get back to at least having, a full-time position again at the clerk desk. And that's what the ask was for.
So is the person currently eligible for benefits if they're part-time?
Yeah, at part-time rates, yes.
50/50.
So the increase to the health is only gonna be that much? It's not gonna be,
Because she already gets it, but at the part-time, at 50/50.
it just seems a little.
What's considered full-time?
40
40
hours.
Just 40. And we just talking about the library. What's the library? 32?
I think the.
32 they consider, well, 34 I think they
34.
consider full-time.
At the library?
Yeah,
His position was previously full-time, they went part-time, and now you're looking to go back.
no,
No, it's
it
been
was
part-time.
part-time.
They tried to get an additional one a couple of years ago and got voted down.
I think they've tried to use, part-timers floating in and out, it's not scaling the way they wanna scale. And currently right now, there's 2 full-timers in there, and then there's 2 part-time clerks. They wanna bring one of those clerks to full-time also, to have the staff always be 2 full-timers.
With the current schedule, that window is open 40 hours a week now? Is that right?
Yes.
It's extra hours on Monday, but half
Yes.
day on Friday, but it's still 40 hours total, right?
Yes,
Yeah, and just like the rest of the town, when the town hall closes, it takes them about a half hour to get out of the building, to close out and all that, so they're putting in a little bit more than 40 hours.
So what would be they want to go back to full-time, what would be the goal ultimately? Like, if we're already open 40 hours, what am I gaining by adding more hours to turn
That there's
full-time?
gonna be 2 people at the window at all times. Right now, what happens with this specific person, they don't come in until later in the morning,
Okay.
so they miss the morning rush. And they deal with the afternoon rush, so they want to be there full-time.
Is the other part-time 15 or 20 hours?
I think it's 50, it would be.
like 14, 15?
Yeah, yeah.
14, 15.
It's basically, the other part-time position right now is during the lunch hour, or the lunch hours, so they can step out of the office.
So how long is the wait in the morning currently, and what would it be reduced to? Because if we're talking like a 10-minute wait becomes 5. But if we're talking
So
like 45 minutes,
The
well,
problem you have to deal with is that it's not about the person at the counter. There's a lot of stuff that's done online that has to get processed. And so when you sit down and do the processing online, you're basically stuck there doing it for a couple hours of processing, going through it all. So, while someone's in the back office doing that, there could be a full-time person sitting up at the window.
so you're telling me in today's day and age, we don't have an automated way of taking online processing?
We take online processing, but we still have to enter it all into the DMV system.
It seems like somebody could write a script for that.
Yeah, this seems like the kind of thing that should be done in software. I'm fairly
It's a
annoyed that I
human.
ever have to come in for anything. I should just be able to go to a web page, click a couple of buttons and be done.
So the
sure
state,
there's a high
the
school
state,
kid who
so the
runs
state
that.
the state requires them to print out the registration, put it in an envelope and mail it back to you, send it to you delivery. So there's stuff that gets put into the system and they have to validate it all, make sure payment was taken, do checks and balances, paperwork out, put the stamps on them, staple them, put them in an envelope and send them out.
Well, if that's
Yeah,
true,
figure
I
that
want to
out.
talk to my state rep about that because that's insane.
Or,
Feel free.
or,
know how
why
that
does
works
it
out
sound
for
like a high school job?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question? I heard you say, I think I heard you say this, John, correct me if I'm wrong. There's essentially a 15-hour week person that comes during the lunch rush.
During the lunch break period.
The lunch
Because again,
break
We can't
period.
have the window be vacant, and there
Okay.
needs to be two people in the room at all times, because we're handling cash.
Okay.
I just think if the question, the problem is printing, stuffing, mailing, you could do that a lot less.
Only a certified clerk can do it, though.
But that's, seriously?
Yes. You have to be certified again, the DMV systems to pull the
No,
system. pull stuff.
somebody can just print, cube print, and then the next day,
Wish I could do that myself without paying.
some 16-year-old entry-level job position is, dude, I worked at an insurance company in high school, and you know what I did? That kind of stuff. Like, it just seems crazy to me that
I can attest, I just registered 2 new vehicles.
yeah.
The amount of time that it takes, takes quite a while. And I was doing it in person and like, yeah, this is taking some time.
But
Any,
that's not what they just said stuffing, stamping,
No, what I was
mailing.
saying.
Part of
is
the-
all I was
still have to
saying
do the
is
rest of the
difference
process.
between people being in the
Gotta bring in your
building,
blue
there's other stuff
paper,
coming in.
right? Yeah.
I do have one question, John David.
yep, go ahead, Mr. Shailen.
So, going back to Ms. Douglas's question, I'm confused about the health line. So,
It seems
is
low.
that, if the person already is getting health insurance,
Yeah.
is the difference between the 3756 and 5008 an expected increase? Because obviously you don't know what the rate's going to be for 2027. Health insurance isn't
I
tied
think it goes
to
from
a
50 to-
percentage of income.
50-50
No,
to
so,
80-20.
so the 3,756 would be the difference between what she would have been paying for 2026 to if she came full-time, what the additional cost is going to be. Because she already gets health insurance.
Right.
There's already cost to the town already.
Yep.
And so this would be moving from the 50/50 to 80% for the town.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Yeah.
you either get benefits or you don't. I didn't realize that there's tiers.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
Any additional questions for Article 20 this evening? All right, Article 21. Modify elderly exemption. Shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 7239A for the elderly exemption from property tax in the town of Litchfield based on assessed value for qualified taxpayers to be as follows? For a person 65 years of age up to 75 years, $125,000. For a person 75 years of age up to 80 years, $190,000. For a person 80 years of age or older, $240,000. To qualify, the person must have been a New Hampshire resident for at least 3 consecutive years, own the real estate individually or jointly, or if the real estate is owned by such person's spouse, they must have been married to each other for at least 5 consecutive years. In addition, the taxpayer must have a net income of not more than $45,500, or if married, a combined net income of more than $55,000, and own net assets not in excess of $300,000, excluding the value of the person's residence. Majority vote required. 2026 tax rate impact, current exemptions only, is 1 cent. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0-0. Below that, you can see a table which has a breakdown of the current, proposed, and the increase with those exemptions. Shows the tax impact as well as the increased dollar amount there. Mr. Brunel, Ms. White.
I do not have anything else to add.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, with our revaluation, a lot of the assessments went up quite a bit, which affected quite a few of those people already receiving that exemption.
And the income hasn't changed?
The income did not change. It was just the value they'd get off their assessment changed.
And we've applied that new change, and that's how you get your 1%.
Yes.
Can't imagine, that's such a low income.
Questions, additional questions or comments on Article 21?
The cost impact lines, so it goes up in total like 1.86 million. Is that the assessed value that's being reduced? That is, so it ends up in $26,000 in less taxes, basically.
Yeah,
Which is the cost that everyone else has to pay.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah.
Additional comments or questions on Article 21? All right, Article 22, modify the optional total and permanent service connected. Let me restart over. Article 22, modify the optional total and permanent service connected total disability credit. Shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 7235 for an optional tax credit of $4,000 for a total and permanent service connected total disability on residential property? Majority vote required. 2026 tax rate impact is for current veterans only is 0.047 cents. This was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0-0. There's a note here that 36 individuals presently, and they will lose the veterans credit of $750 if passed. There is a table below that bleeds into the next page, which shows the veterans' current tax credits. You can see a breakdown of the warrant article. I'm going to need somebody to help explain that. I'm going to turn it over to the fine gentleman in the back, perhaps. Well, I'll start with Mr. Brunel and Ms. White. Any additional comments, context?
The only thing I would say, and I've said this a couple times, I think this is the least we can
Chief.
do for our vets.
Mhm.
And so it's one of the reasons why I support it. But Chief, if you would like to,
Good evening.
Good evening. This happened about 7 months ago when the state, the governor, the Senate, and the Assembly got together and they changed the whole focus on people that were totally and permanently disabled veterans, along with there's like 20 other states in the country that are moving forward on this. So if I could, I'd like to read this to you. I've been working with her over like 4 months. We're trying to get this together, so I know that you guys are a number of guys and want to get this right. It's important. This bill was signed into law by Governor Ayotte in May and effective 13 July of this year, eliminating the tax credits for veterans with service-connected, total and permanent disabled, and is replaced by an appropriate amount by each town up to $5,000. Initially, the governor went ahead and was going to say their total tax bill. Then it went back to $5,000. In an effort to take care of this special group of veterans, the Governor Ayotte broadened the tax credit, like I mentioned, up to $5,000. It's kind of an emotional thing as I read this thing. The veterans that are affected by this new law are those veterans that have been deemed 100% service-connected and totally permanently disabled by the Veterans Administration, which is not easy. This means, quite frankly, our most vulnerable veterans will never get better. We're here to ask you to please take care of these veterans. As of today, the group of disabled veterans in our town, about 400 of them, receive a $750 credit that you all supported a long time ago. We went from $300 to $500 to $750 on their tax bill, and a $701 tax credit for being 100% disabled for a total of $1,451. That's what they get now. Now, this was never on our radar because we didn't really get into that part of the whole focus. We always been $750, and that's all we did. If this warrant article fails, these 36 veterans will receive only $701. They can't get both anymore. Our town is 36 veterans. We have 100% disability rating, and it may be less as we've lost a few due to their passing. So Ms. Kleiner is working towards confirming of these 36 veterans, are they totally and permanently disabled? You have to be totally and permanent. You can't be just totally disabled. You have to be permanent, totally and permanently disabled. Prior to the passing of HB 99, some towns gave their 100% disabled veterans $4,000 on the last before this bill was passed. Litchfield has given the minimum of $701. And I go back to the point in $701. In 2019, when we became a veterans group, nobody ever heard about the Litchfield veterans. Since then, I think we did quite a bit in this town. I believe the difference for all that, because they get is $91,520 to cover the increase, because right now they get $1,451. They'll lose that total. They can't get that no more. And it's gonna go between, I guess, between 2 and 4 cents. But I think it's gonna be lower because I think we're gonna be into the 30s or maybe even to the 20s because we lost a lot of people. Some people have moved on, some people have passed on, I know that. And this doesn't, I know, doesn't affect the tax cap, because Ms. Kleiner told me it doesn't affect the tax cap. Currently, there are more than 20 states, like I've said, that have approved a total tax credit for the veterans who have been deemed 100% totally and permanently disabled, and that number of states is growing across the country. It's my belief that these veterans have earned our support. Any questions?
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reading
So if I understand correctly, Bobby, you're saying that the 4,000 is gonna replace the 1,400?
Yes.
Correct.
It'd be 2,500 and I think it's 2,591 or something like that.
Okay. So-
Would be the difference, yes.
I'm just curious, because I don't understand, you said Governor Ayotte signed the bill.
Yeah,
but
Governor Ayotte, so I can leave this with you.
No, so,
They did this optional tax credit, service connected permanent totally disability, and that was, it was in May 14, 2025, she signed that. It was effective 13 July.
That's
And I think she really wants to go ahead and support the people that are totally and permanently disabled veterans and say, I want them to get more than what they're getting right now.
well, she's letting the towns do that.
Towns have to do that.
She's not doing it.
No, I mean,
Right.
in retrospect, you would think the federal government would do that, right? You know, or the state would do that.
Right.
But, you know, when you have no income tax, you think about that, you've got to get it somewhere. And a lot of our monies have to come from our revenue from real estate taxes, you know? So it's kind of a hard thing for me to come here, talk to you about that, but internally, you know, I got guys, you know, like me, Billy, we were both Vietnam veterans, boots on the ground. We lose 300 veterans from Vietnam a day. They're dying, you know? And when you get, some people say, oh, you're 100% disabled. Well, you know what, everybody would say, you know what, give me 20 more years and hell with that. I don't want that. I'd rather live, be happy, than to go ahead and have to worry about neuropathy and all these other crazy things that we go through. And I can share that with you if you ever want to sometime. I can tell you about all this stuff. I'm so versed in this thing. You know, we take veterans every day to different activities and events, and you know, and hopefully, a side note, I hope you go to our resource fair. We're going to try to have that in the town. It's going to be on the 24th of January. All the different activities and the different things that people can get. You can talk about, you know, the elderly and the credit, and all these different things. We're going to bring them all together as a resource so we can say, hey, this is Litchfield. We care about who you are. I know you guys got a hell of a job to do every day. It's not easy coming here. I see you all the time, Ms. Douglas, on TV. You know, it's like movie stars. You got to have your own cards and stuff like that. You know. Mr. Taylor, I love him because even if he's far away, I can listen to him on TV and he's right on. Because I spent 30 years on active duty at the Air Force at Hanscom, and I went through all this stuff what you guys have gone through. So it's not an easy task. And I used to be stationed with Andrew's dad at Hanscom, so we know each other.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for coming tonight. Any additional questions?
I do have one clarification. I just want to make sure that I heard correctly. So, and John, maybe you can clarify. So as we go through, like we will for voting time, we have to start adding up the things. This particular article does not have any tax cap impact. So this one is completely, has nothing to do with any of that math.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
How is that?
It calculates into it for what you raised. When we set our tax rate, you have to then,
Because it doesn't change how much tax is raised, it just changes how it's billed.
yeah,
This is revenue versus the taxes.
yeah.
essentially.
Right.
Because they get a credit, they lessen what they owe.
But somebody, but it still gets paid by somebody else, so
Yeah,
the total
yeah, yeah,
dollars
yeah.
don't change.
Right.
It's how we allocate who pays them.
So the majority of the guys that get 750, the 380 something folks that we have, they get 750. These folks got 701 plus the 750. Now they won't get anything. So it's all or nothing. It's what that's what we're looking at.
So just one last thing, Bobby. I'm just curious, the governor said you could do up to 5,000.
Yes, sir.
Why wouldn't you done 5,000?
Well, because I know this is the tax year for this town, right? And I'm saying, you know, I mean, I got with the guys, right? We sat together. We love this town, you know, and we said, you know what? $4,000 is going to be the norm across the board. It looks like all the other people are going to go there. You know, if you want to vote them to 5,000, they're probably bringing the coffee and everything else that you want to do. But we looked at $4,000. So but we leave that up to you all to do that.
Anything else on Article 22 this evening?
It's just one follow-up question, then going back to Article 21, is there no
No, sir.
math calculation I have to worry about with that one either, as
No,
far as
not for the tax cap.
voting wise, has nothing to do with the cap.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Okay.
It comes off our assessed value for tax rate setting.
Because we voted recommendations on them.
We can vote recommendations, it just
Right, it's
doesn't
just-
impact the tax cap, yeah.
Gotcha.
Do you want me to come back here on the 8th of January in case to clarify anything, or do you want me to come back? I'll be more than
I
happy.
think we're good, but I appreciate the offer. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your service and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think that takes us through our town warrant articles, because the last one there is term of the supervisor's checklist, which is not a tax impact article. So, Ms. White, Mr. Brunel, hold me accountable, but I think that gets us through all the town warrant articles, correct?
I believe you are correct.
All right. With that, we will transition to the school warrant articles. Thank you, Ms. White.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Bye,
Captain.
thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You as well. Thank you.
Man,
Andrew, are you gonna put
current
that up on the?
supervisor, so my term doesn't change from 6 to 3.
I know. Did you just now see that?
Yeah.
Can you flip the school up there, if you don't mind? All right, as the superintendent and BA are getting situated, we're gonna follow the same flow. We're gonna start with Article 1, and we go through Article 9. I don't think Article 10 is not one that we vote on, so we've got 9 school articles to go through. We'll follow, we'll follow the same flow. I'll read the articles, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Cutter and Superintendent and the BA for additional context, and then we can ask questions or make comments at that point in time. So, the school side, Article 1, shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of X to fund the design, construction, furnishing, equipping, and related cost of renovation and addition to Griffin Memorial School, and to authorize the issuance of not more than X of bonds or notes under and in compliance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 3033, and to authorize the school board to issue, negotiate, sell, and deliver such bonds and notes and determine the rate of interest thereon and the maturity and other terms thereof, and to authorize the school board to apply for, obtain, accept, and expend any federal, state, or other aid, if any, which may be available for the project, to use such funds to reduce the amount of bonds or issued for the project, and to comply with all lies applicable to said project with the balance of X to be withdrawn from the Litchfield School District Capital Improvement Expendable Trust Fund established in March 2020, and to raise and appropriate the additional sum of X for the first year's payment on said bond or note, and to authorize the school board to take any other necessary action to carry out this vote. 3/5 vote required. There is a year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 estimated tax impact that is also X at this point in time. The school board has not voted on this particular warrant article just yet. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Cutter, Superintendent and BA.
Okay, we have a lot to talk about on this one. So there are, well, just in summary, there are 10 articles presented on the school side tonight, 8 of which have school board votes, which we'll take you through. The Article 10 does not require a budget committee at all. So in Article 1, the school board did not vote on last night. So just a quick summary.
Thank you.
Article 1, or we didn't come to a consensus last night, I should say. We did actually motion and vote. It tied as a 2-2 vote. We had a lot of debate at last night's school board meeting on what to do for GMS. I just highlighted and addition intentionally, and we'll talk about that. So the board did talk a lot about a couple of options. One being what was presented at Community Forum number 3 as option 1B. 1B was essentially the renovation of Griffin Memorial School, the removal of the 60s wing, which is about a $7 million problem for us. And in doing so, removing the portables and building a 2-story addition in where the portables are. That cost is somewhere in the ballpark of $30 million. And the board debated that quite a bit because that will essentially take care of all the systems, take care of the envelope of the building, take care of the roof, take care of the electrical, the plumbing, as well as build the addition while removing the 60s wing, which again is a significant problem for that building.
And that's why you went with the 2-story versus the 1-story?
We talked about the 2-story. We didn't go with that plan at all. So just to clarify that wording, right?
Okay.
we talked about that option specifically because it allows for future growth of the district over the ranch style plan, which was 1A. Ranch style plan, no 2 stories, but a larger footprint in terms of taking up space and eating into the playground area, which leaves less room for future growth and future expansion should the
But what
district,
is the-
should the board, a future board decide to do that.
What is the current design occupancy for the renovation of Griffin? So we say future expansion, like if we're designing for 550, how realistic is it we're gonna need expansion?
Maybe not. Right,
So
right,
if
maybe
it's
not.
like
But it's also-
400, okay, maybe.
Also, a
But so-
2-story is also more energy efficient, right? There's a variety of
Like
things.
you have an elevator
So
that can break
I
down.
don't want to talk about that because really what the motion was
Okay.
and what the board decided last night was what we refer to as a phased approach, right? That phased approach being the retainment of the 60s wing, the retainment of the portables, but fixing the core issues of Griffin Memorial School, fixing all of the infrastructure, sealing the building as best as we're able. But that does mean we're going to need to keep the portables for the foreseeable future up until a point in time where, in a future phase, the decision is made to take down the 60s wing and proceed with that addition plan, right? That motion was $23,500,000. We can talk about what the payment is and what the tax impact is on that. Julie has that modeled. That led to a 2-2 vote. We're currently a 4-member board at the moment. That led to a no vote.
So one question I would have on that is, can you do that in a summer, or is there additional cost associated with displacing students?
It's
during-
swing space, so as a part of that proposal, there will be additional
So, okay, the building-
portables brought in as a part of that budget, as part of that plan. So it's referred to as swing space as a part of that. What we instructed the administrative team to do, and part of the reason why that got to a 2-2 vote was we wanted to be very clear on what was in and not in relative to the 60s building, right? There were some questions about, will the 60s building be safe and secure? Will it include the insulation and envelope of that building? There were just some open question marks we wanted to be crystal clear on before that final decision was made. So the administrative team, and I know Harriman and Harvey were listening in last night. I already know they're on it for us. But unfortunately, we didn't have the final numbers for tonight because of those open questions.
Let's transition to the potential payments and tax impact.
So Julie, I don't know if I can share this. Do you have that up where you can bring that up?
And as you're doing that, if you don't mind, Mr. Cutter, just to clarify one thing. So, based on the directive that was given to the administration, is it a safe assumption that the option that's being explored currently has a ceiling of 23.5 million?
That's what we're talking about, right? Not to say that another option or another, the board could decide something different, but at this point, the board directive was the 23.5 million phased plan, right? There was a large consideration to tax impact last night, and what you'll see here is just what that tax impact is through various bond payment schedules. A 20-year bond payment for a $650,000 house is somewhere in the ballpark, I'm just gonna use round numbers, is somewhere in the ballpark of $550 a year. For a $30 million project, the full project, is somewhere in the ballpark of, I'm just gonna call it $850 a year. Again, using very rough numbers.
Are we still eligible for state aid?
We are not eligible for state aid, that's not factored into any of these figures.
So my first thought is that, if I'm not mistaken, Superintendent, you had come to the CIP and said that it was not gonna go over $20 million.
That's what we were really
It
hoping.
was gonna be 20 million, and it's not going over.
And
As we stand right now,
That 60s wing is a significant issue.
I understand what all the different issues are, but I'm saying that we were told 20 million is what we're gonna come at.
We were hoping.
That's what we were hoping, and that's what we asked them to come in under, and they came in with something much more.
Is there a world where they can get it down to that?
And further, right, one of the things last night that we talked about is the on-site insight report, right? I mean, we've spent
Yeah,
quite a bit of money about the on-site insight reports recently, and to give us a perspective on, like, what is that for the district in terms of future planning? What is clear is that real costs are very different than what the on-site insight report has projected for a variety of reasons, but I'll let the superintendent talk just a little bit about that.
Yeah, we asked them as part of this process to look at the on-site insight report, and if you were just to do that report, how much it would cost. They came up with construction costs of 18 point something million dollars, then additional 25% for soft costs, bringing that over 23 million, so 23.3.
I just double click on that real quick because I think that's an important point to share publicly. There's been a lot of conversation around on-site insight and the $7.7-ish million that is in there to do the work at GMS. What I'm hearing you say is that report, those findings and those numbers were not all encompassing and did not take into account soft costs, construction costs,
Correct. So,
et cetera.
as we've said a bunch of different times with on-site insight, it was one to replace everything in kind, right? So a good example of this is the 60s wing. Like, for example, there's not insulation in the 60s wing right now, right? So you wouldn't replace that. Like, that on-site insight report doesn't have any costs associated for insulation on it. It's written in the report, like, no costs associated for insulation because there's no insulation yet in that building right now. So, for example, as Harriman came in, that's a significant problem with the 60s building. They did a whole presentation how essentially they call it mile per hours for energy efficiency. They displayed a whole thing. It's essentially twice for GMS than it is the other two schools because of these, not solely because of insulation, but that could be one of the reasons why that's happening. So there's a number of factors that, and the on-site insight engineer was upfront with us when she did the report, right? Like she said, I'm just doing this for how the building currently exists. If you were to replace stuff as you had it, if you're going to make upgrades, if you're going to make it more efficient, if you're going to do these changes, it's going to increase the cost. It's written in her report and it's written in the minutes from the board meeting when she came to present the board. She doesn't factor in soft costs is a big umbrella there, but that's not really included in the on-site insight report. Harriman has some difference of opinions on some of the prices that she put in for some different things. They're all professionals. They can debate that. It's out of my realm. But I asked them specifically to go through that in great detail because I know this is a talking point, people. And I don't want to diminish the report of the on-site insight reports. We're using those to help guide us for the other two schools. Mm-hmm. But I think the advantage with the other two schools is we are looking to replace those things more in kind with the other two schools because they're in better condition, right? So they are more better reflective of the cost we'll have for those buildings.
And way newer.
And they're newer, right. So, looking at all that, and Harriman and Harvey, who's our construction manager, who's actually the one, ultimately pricing out these things, has stated that to do all that work, putting in the soft costs is going to be over $23 million. So,
Okay,
and that on-site insight doesn't address what Principal Mitchell and others have identified as educational deficiencies with the space and the setup of that building. Right.
Thank you.
It is not lost on me, it is not lost on the board, it is not lost on the administration that this is the second largest warrant article that this town has ever seen. The first warrant article that we went forward on 2024 was the failed school, right? What we're trying to do is figure out that balance, that careful balance of how do we solve the deficiencies at GMS that we've been talking about now for so long, with managing the tax impact in doing so.
Do you want to walk us through what we're looking at on the screen here?
Yeah, so there's multiple figures here, but we'll focus on 23. So this is, we talked about 23.5, but this is just 23 for really round numbers. These are the different.
This is based on a $23 million bond.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So these are different bond options that we could pursue here, whether we want to do level principal type of bond payments or level debt.
And I would scroll down to FY28.
Yeah, just to give.
That's really your year two picture.
Yeah, and I want to, if you give me 1 second, just freeze these two so we don't lose sight of it. So the first year is going to be 575,000 no matter what. That's the impact for the first year based on assessed house values. Anywhere between $100, $200 depending on 350, whatever. This is the first full year of the bond payment would be FY28. So, you know, if 2 years essentially down the road here. You can see that the estimate payment varies depending on the type of bond you want to pursue, right? And the different tax rates depending on all of it. You can lower the tax rate by obviously leveling your debt and extending the length of the bond, but you're going to pay more money in the end for that particular payment. So you know, pick whatever version you want to do, and that bottom box on there is the specific impact for the assessed value of the house of a house thing. So, for example, for just like argument's sake, I think internally we were looking at a 25-year level debt because it's kind of in the middle, you know, of this chart. You know, we were using that as the numbers that we were talking about. The board ultimately can decide how we want to pursue the bonds and what makes sense for the community. You know, but just looking at what would make sense for everybody.
My numbers that I said 550 was based upon 20-year level debt, and that's 559 on
I
650.
don't think you wanna go 25 years.
All right,
Yeah.
my view is the shortest possible, but again, balancing.
Your 550 was based on a $600,000 20-year level debt.
650,
650.
20-year level debt, it's 559.
Yeah.
GMS becomes less of a problem because everybody moves out of town.
Right, and that's where if you look at a $30 million bond, right, so the full picture, it's about 850-ish.
So both the numbers that you're providing us are both for expansion and.
So this number here, you just think about it as this $23 million bond keeps the 60s wing, keeps the portables. Right?
No additions.
No additions, but fixes all of the main issues, structural issues, infrastructure, roof, HVAC, new entrant, all of that, right?
So 23 million and there's no additional building?
We would build a new entrance.
There's new
New
entrance.
secure entrance.
$23 million and all I get out of it is a new entrance?
New systems throughout.
New systems.
You got a $7 million bill problem with the 60s building, so.
Correct.
That's part of
The
it.
$30 million option is removal of the 60s wing and the new addition, plus everything else.
And you get rid of the portables with that, right?
Right, because to build the new addition, I
Right.
need to get rid of the portables.
And do you have a price for a new build?
The whole
When you
school?
did it a couple years ago,
No.
it was 44 million.
That's off the
Project that
table
out
completely.
2 years down the road. I'm not saying you would do that same exact design, but
No.
No, but I
48,
think you were
50
just
million
looking at that from a comparison standpoint,
And
right?
I'm looking at too, is like, will this really resolve all the problems? 23 million won't, but 30 million might, because you need more space,
Yep.
right?
I don't disagree with you on that, Brian. I think, and I finally caught up and watched Monday's community forum and last night's school board meeting earlier today. You know, I think the question that kept being asked, which is the right question to ask, is what has a chance of passing? What has the best opportunity to pass? Because I don't like if a voter is going to approve 23 million, would they approve 30? Maybe not. I don't know.
But if they approve 23 million, is that really gonna resolve all your
Or are
problems?
you coming back at
But
them in a
it's-
couple of years?
Is something better than nothing? Is what I keep coming back to too. Like
I don't think people would be happy if you spend 23 million and didn't solve your problem.
Well, that's it, and
So that just
that
goes,
is the debate.
you already have your credibility.
And we'd have to go back at some point to remove the 60s wing. And we know that, and the money we're putting into the 60s wing to address it now is sunk cost.
So why are you calling this the phased approach if you're really kind of fixing everything?
Because at some point, the decision has to be to take down that 60s wing.
So why would you invest money in it then if you have to take it down?
Because,
To me, a phased approach would be fix the pieces you're keeping.
because once we
and then
take off
phase
the
2 is
roof.
Tear down the 60s building and put the addition on.
Because once we take down the roof and the HVAC, we need to replace that, right? And we want to do that in a way that it isolates that section. So when we do take that down, it doesn't disrupt the rest of the building.
Just don't put a roof on it.
Just don't fix it. I don't know.
Let nature take its course. I just think this is gonna be a tough year for both school and town. If you add it all up, the increase is, Well, let's just say last year's increase caused tears and pain. I don't see this being a better year.
Yeah, it's expensive. Like,
So
it's
on the
expensive.
$7 million is going into the sixties building?
It
No.
wouldn't- No, if you're fully renovated, it would be, and make it, like redo it, essentially build it from the ground up. If you're gonna keep that section, it's over 7 million, like 7.7.
To take it down
You
and
could
to build the addition is 7 million.
do enough to keep it
Right.
operational.
Hold on, let's go to Doug.
Just
Doug
one
first. though.
question.
Yeah.
So for the $23 million option, it's keep the sixties wing.
Yeah.
For, a period of time, X. What is the anticipated cost of maintenance and upkeep if we invest the 23, for the next 5 years of
Right.
that sixties wing on top of that now? Do you have any idea of like what that would be? Just, 'cause that's a selling point, right? Because you're gonna invest this money in.
It's gonna be more efficient than it is now because we're still putting new lighting, new HVAC, right? There's gonna be, like, all that's still gonna be there.
But my sake to argue for the 30 would be, you're spending the 23 now to do all this renovation, and then next year you're still spending maintenance money on the 60s wing.
Yep.
The year after, still spending money on the 60s wing,
Yep.
to only take it down 5 years from now and spend money then.
Yep.
So I think we bite the bullet, and if you're gonna do something, you go with the $30 million one and solve as much of your problems as you can now.
There's another concern too, is with 23 million, you're still dealing with portables, correct?
Yeah.
We are, and the
Yeah,
portables are in tough shape.
Those are
And
the
that
current
is
costs
my
of them,
biggest
too.
issue with this. That is my number
Well,
one
that's
issue.
like one of the biggest safety issues that we talked about when we first talked about like building.
We're
a new
already
school.
seeing the failures of these systems over there. Again, we all know the ramp issues,
Ms. Douglas and then Mr. Taylor.
So, assuming enough people vote in favor of the bond, what kind of savings would you see in utilities and how long, what kind of a payback? Like if I can say, all right, I'm gonna pay 30 million, but in 7 years, I have made significant gains in efficiency, then I can look at the long-term cost of this project and be like, all right, well, it was 30 million, but I saved, 7 million in energy.
Harriman had that.
Because realistically, I can tell you right now, there's no way I can vote in favor of this knowing how people are hurting in town. But if I can make an argument, or if you can make an argument to me, that within 10 years, my cost savings cover the cost of this building, then I could be brought on board. I need to know that if this could save money in the long run in a substantial way, then I could be willing to make the investment, but I need to know that.
I don't think you're gonna save $30 million in energy.
You're not gonna save enough.
No,
for the-
but you're gonna spend some money anyway,
Yeah,
okay?
chip
But
away at
You're
it.
also gonna save your money in maintenance if you don't do something. Every dollar you put in today, eventually we're gonna have to address this issue.
You
with
just
this
heard it
tomorrow.
costs twice as much.
That's right. And every year you wait, it's gonna go up 3%, 4% every year.
I understand that, but we have people who are already in serious trouble, and now we're adding, $1,200 in warrant articles?
That $44 million project in 2024 is now a $50 million project.
And it was 5 million, in 2018.
So let me come back to Ms. Douglas's question.
But it
Do
needs
we
to
have that
pass.
information?
We don't have the specific numbers, we can get that. But
That
like
to me would be a huge selling point to your presentation. Show the taxpayers
Yeah.
how this saves us money.
So we do have some information just right now that we can report out on. So this is based on Harriman's, so it's total energy cost per square foot. So Campbell High School is at a rate of $1.65 per square foot. Litchfield Middle School is at a rate of $1.62. So Harriman has told us that's an appropriate amount for each of those schools. So that's the
$1.62.
ballpark that we should have let's
Per
say
square-
between
per square
$1.60
foot.
and $1.70 between square
Right.
foot, because those schools are both in that. GMS currently is at $2.71 per square foot, so $1 more by a square foot.
Okay.
So in theory, we would bring that down to just say for $1.70.
How many square feet do we have?
It's about
70,000.
65,000, I think. But
So
let me
essentially-
double check that.
So, say it's 70,000, you save 70 grand a year on energy,
Right. If everything works out mathematically.
which I break out across the taxpayers, it's still gonna be, actually paying more in energy is still gonna be less than my bill for a new building. So, we're gonna be in trouble.
I mean, that's the
You have to
start of your
add maintenance
savings.
savings in that,
Yeah,
Gary.
that
It's
doesn't
not just
include the
energy
maintenance,
savings.
that's
Well, that's
literally.
both.
So-
Every dollar you're spending, you're gonna lose.
Don't forget
in
about
the
those
next-
LED lights.
I'm just saying, if you wanna make this, if you wanna improve the slim odds of this passing, we have to make the argument that this is a good investment.
It is a good investment.
We can say it, Show me the numbers.
So,
Prove it to
it's-
me.
hold on.
The investment needs to be imminent,
Show the,
though.
show the mice and the birds and all that stuff in
So-
there.
Close your doors
As
and,
a,
and close the gaps.
hold on, as a follow-up, if we can get that detailed information, I think that would be great.
The current square footage of Griffin Memorial without portables is 55,000 and with portables 62,000.
62.
Okay, but wait a minute though. When we talk about square footage, are we still talking about the 20s building?
No.
30s.
No.
That's
It's
not
not
included in the
operational.
square footage? That is usable
Usable.
classroom space.
It
That
would
is
cost
also-
significant money to upgrade, to
That's
bring
also
it back.
No, I just don't want to use the 20s building square footage to then turn around and say, oh, well, we've got all this like square footage, but all it is storage.
Mr. Taylor, did you have
Yeah.
a question or comment?
As far as the 60s building, with the plan that you're split on right now, what classrooms and what class grades would be in that potential part of the building that is going to be quote-unquote sunken money?
That's first and second at the moment.
You know, going back to maintenance costs, I mean, just something, when's that roof due to be replaced?
Now.
How?
And it's,
Yeah, so
that roof was, piecemealed, like, over a period of time, right? And that roof is, like, it needs to go.
But they include that in the calculations. We're due for a roof replacement. It's gonna cost us 75 grand, 100 grand, whatever. Take that money and put it into the construction and, you know, you're gonna spend it anyway, if we put it towards the construction. But that's the, gather all your costs and convince the people who voted no that they're better off voting yes this time. 'Cause don't go with the emotional, don't go with the, oh, but the, bring the numbers, keep it clinical, keep it
Keep it
technical.
factual, I get it, right, and that's absolutely what we tried to drive last night. Look, I mean, the board is, again, very sensitive to the cost, trying to make the right decision, right, and trying to make that balanced decision, for sure.
That was clear, and I would encourage, if you haven't watched last night's meeting, there was a healthy amount of conversation about what do we believe will actually pass. Like, yes, this is what we believe we need, and but grounded in what will pass, and I'm appreciative of that.
So may I just ask clarifying questions so we
Yep.
can help guide? So when we look at like what is the cost or trying to figure out that piece, because I think it can be challenging sometimes to pull that. The energy thing is actually a little bit more straightforward, but when we talk about roof costs, this or whatever, and I'm just looking to have I'm not trying, there's no angle here, just trying to help get the right information out. Like, I see that on-site insight report as identifying all the stuff that has to be fixed within this 20-year window, right? Like, that would be the life of the bond or whatever. So we have Harriman saying that just doing that doesn't address educational anything, is $23.3 million. Right, so like that's the number we're spending just to keep the building as is.
But that's over 20. It's a similar time frame.
I think I don't disagree with you on that. I think the story that has to be told and that has to be emphasized is how that report goes from 7.7 to the 23.3.
Yeah, and you know that's what I've tasked Harvey to do for us, is to explain that in a way I can explain it,
I would
right,
consider
to the
too,
public.
Over that 20 years, you're still gonna have some other maintenance costs.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's not a one for one, because after 10 years, you're gonna have to replace this, and by the second round of 10 years, you're gonna have to replace this anyway, so it's not a straight 23 to 23, because you're still gonna have maintenance costs within that.
But and this is what I'm trying to help like understand, so I can help tell people like 23 is like our basement that we're spending on this, right? Like that is like the bottom line. Like there's no like fixing this up for like $2 million, right? Like that is like what this is going to cost at this point.
Would you mind, you and I had a conversation the other day, because I made a comment of, well, can we just replace the roof and the HVAC?
Yeah,
and then
right.
you did a good job of explaining to me the spider web that creates when you just start that work. Can you take a minute and articulate that?
So once you start, right, you have to understand that once you start the HVAC work, as an example, and the plumbing work, it's all interconnected. Like the boiler for that 60s wing isn't in the 60s wing, right? It's all the way down the other end of the building. So once I take that out, right, I got to run all new plumbing, all new piping, right? If you think about the flood that happened during the what was it, the Sweetheart Dance last year,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That was because of a backup in the 60s wing, right? That flood happened in the nurse's office at the front of the building,
Yes.
right? Because it's all interconnected, right? You have to think once you start touching one thing, because of the all the inner layouts of that piping, I got like it just doesn't work, right?
So is it
I've got to rip out the ceilings. I've got to rip out all the like.
due to the nature of the building and how much of it you're touching, wouldn't already be phased? Because you're not gonna be able to do all that work in one summer.
No, you're gonna have to do it
This is over
over, yeah, at
27
least
months.
2
7
years,
months,
probably.
And how many classes are displaced through the construction?
I mean, they would figure that out. Like, if you were to do everything hypothetically, you do the addition first, right? And then you start moving kids over there. If you do just some of it, you're probably gonna have to lease some portables, rent some portables, so you have a place to put them, or somewhere to put kids. Like, you're gonna have to get creative with that. I'm not saying this is what we're gonna do at GMS, but when I was in high school and they were doing a project at my high school, I had my physics class in the gym, you know, like, and those type of things, right? They come up with a plan that works
on the
for
cart.
stuff. I don't advise that for elementary school kids, but they'll come up with something, right? And then you just keep moving people around and making it work. So I know in these type of projects, I've been in other districts, they do, like, they try to time it so, like, they're literally in there the day after school ends and get like a whole, like a dump, like they call it like a summer dump, but like a whole mess of work done in those 3 months that you're not in school, and making the space that then they can place kids around and move things around. I mean, it's not fun.
It's gonna be a lot of disruption.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of disruption, but
One other takeaway I had from watching last night's school board meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, any of you, the $23 million, and I think I may be just rephrasing what you said a minute ago, that is the cheapest option on the table, because you all looked at and discussed the redistribution, in touching every building. The cost associated with that, correct me if I'm wrong, was in the 30s.
It was
30 million. So I think, you know, the school facilities was tasked with going through, I don't want to speak on behalf of that, tasked with going through all of these different options. And now that there's real dollars behind those options, from what I've seen and what I've heard thus far, this is the cheapest option that we have. Doesn't mean it's cheap. It is the cheapest option at this point.
I think the part that I struggle with too is not only do we have this, but there's gonna be some major replacements needed at CHS. We are gonna need a bunch of other things in town.
And yeah, let's not forget town needs, right?
So, I mean, the
Yeah.
tax impact, again, in some way, I joke, but I'm not necessarily completely unserious, that we're gonna end up forcing families out, in which case we're gonna have plenty of room in the school, because people won't be able to afford the resulting tax bill.
So back to the warrant article,
ahead.
Chairman. You know, I did highlight and addition, right? And I highlighted that because the 23.5 does not include an addition. So we may look to strike the word addition from this article, depending upon what the board
I
decides.
think you need to, because if you're not gonna do an addition, people are gonna expect one.
Can you speak to, are there any other questions on information that we have tonight? Go ahead.
Specifically about, so what date are we gonna change the X's to numbers?
That was gonna be
That's
my.
question number one.
That was gonna be my
X's
next
become
step.
numbers when?
Yep.
Yeah, my intention was for tonight, right? And had we not landed on a 2-2 vote, you would have saw those numbers tonight. So our next board meeting officially is January 8th. Your next board meeting is January 7th. Your next board meeting is January 8th. January 7th, we're having a vote.
So why was it a split vote? Was it some people just didn't think it was?
Yep. So there was a couple of board members, again, that wanted very specific information on what is in and not in scope for that 60s wing. That led to, we just need a little bit more information before we're comfortable voting.
And what did you vote on again, whether it was the 30 or 23, or like?
The 23.5 was the question.
Okay.
And that was a 2-2 tie. Your second question?
Yeah, when is the next best window for state funding? 'Cause
So
I
it's not
understood, like,
included-
based on the past, Concord pretty much gobbled up this year,
You can't
correct?
renovate.
do you want me to be glass half full or glass half empty?
I just want the truth.
I don't think you're ever seeing state funding again,
Yeah.
period.
Yep.
I've
And that was
heard
brought up at the
there.
community forum the other night. It's not included in the governor's budget. And the reality is it's, we're likely not to see it because of the Concord Middle School project, which is 160 million.
Any other questions, comments on information that we have tonight? So that, your first question was gonna be my transition. Knowing that you all are meeting on the 7th and voting, we will receive, correct me if I'm wrong, we will receive those numbers that evening.
Yep.
We have a very quick turnaround, to vote the next evening.
We can vote on the 15th, after the budget hearing.
And
In theory, we could.
And Mr.
Yes, you're
Chairman,
not wrong
like,
about that.
If by chance the school board receives this information, say over the next week, I don't know, right? I have no problem calling the school board for a special meeting the week after Christmas. Like, I have no issue doing that, right? If there's an opportunity for the board to meet as soon as practical, right, we will do that and we will get this information to you.
So I'd feel more comfortable with that on voting the 8th if I have time to ask questions.
I feel more comfortable with that too, and just having
Yeah.
a targeted meeting on this, right?
No,
So-
absolutely. I just, if you're asking us like this, if the plan is they vote the 7th, you want us to vote the 8th, I'm like,
No,
I'm
you're
gonna-
you're not wrong. We could vote on we could table Article 1 on the 8th and vote on it, because I would assume, I think I heard this correctly, you're gonna do potentially do a bond hearing on the 15th prior to the budget hearing.
Right.
So we would have, on the 15th, we would have a bond hearing, the budget hearing, after the budget hearing concludes.
Ooh, what time would that be at? I'm just asking because I.
6 o'clock is
That
what we,
works for me 'cause I have a course event that might push the meeting late enough that I can get back.
So
it's our
that,
tentative.
we could, and that is something we can, so my recommendation is, let's allow them to get the information the school board has requested, whether they hold a meeting, the week after Christmas, or whether they hold a meeting, their regularly scheduled meeting on the 7th. If we feel like we need more time, we can table this article on the first, we can table Article 1 on the 8th and vote on it on the 15th.
I mean, if they're gonna have the bond vote on the 15th, I think it'd be better off just voting after their vote.
It's not bad logic.
And I just want to clarify one small thing about the bond hearing. We're going to post that, like, starting tomorrow, that process, because we have to get it in the papers and all that type of stuff.
Okay.
So just an FYI, I know we haven't settled on a number yet, but we have
You have to
certain
notice
things.
the meeting.
Correct.
Correct, so we're gonna notice it, and if for some crazy reason we have to cancel it, then we'll cancel it, but like, we
It's
are
better
gonna
to
start
cancel
posting.
it and it
That's
notice.
our viewpoint, so. we're
So if we
going for it.
talk to the town about making sure it's posted at the dump and everything,
Yes.
Right on that billboard.
yeah, that, the very big TV.
Anything else on Article 1 this evening?
Well, I just have a question that pertains to that, where you were deadlocked with a 2-2 vote. I know you're doing interviews for a fifth member.
Yes.
I'm just curious if you've selected someone, still interviewing for
Oh,
that?
sure. Yeah, so we, there were 4 candidates. 3 out of the 4 were able to attend our board meeting last night. One of the people interested unfortunately was sick. And so we did elect to wait to our January 7th meeting just so that person has an opportunity to speak to the board and make a decision at that point in time. Really great candidates, all of them. And so, some people are familiar names. We have brand new candidates with new kiddos, not even in the school system yet, so that's fantastic. So yeah, really, really happy about that.
And if
But
there's,
this individual then won't be involved with the vote.
they'd have to be
Well,
sworn
There's
in.
nothing
Yeah,
saying that they're
it's-
gonna be following the
if it's-
meetings and be informed to vote.
I'm not saying they wouldn't be informed, but it sounds like
I
the
don't think they'd have the
timeline.
ability. to vote.
Timeline's gonna be tight, cause we have to make that
Well,
decision,
the
and then the
meeting's
swearing
here.
in.
We can
and-
see if Terry can stay for a few minutes.
Well, yeah, and if they
and if
do
we have
wind up
special
a special meeting,
right, and we
yeah.
can get that maybe, so.
Are you guys only voting on that $23 million option, or is the other ones off the table?
So, at this point, that is the direction from the board to the admin team, is at 23.5 million. I don't know.
Conversation.
Harriman and Harvey were watching last night. I don't know if they're gonna sharpen their pencils and throw out a wild card to us.
Well, the
Maybe,
question is, do they want it
They would like to
billed
have
or
a
not?
conversation with me tomorrow morning, so we will see what that conversation
right?
entails.
So,
Sure you don't want Carrie on that call? She'll get it down to 19.5.
in the back of my mind, maybe, so.
Do you want to
So,
bid or not?
I think we've exhausted all our questions and comments on the information we have this evening, so thank you all. I'm gonna move us to Article 2. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, The amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote at the first session for the purposes set forth herein totaling $28,431,538. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $28,072,731, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Litchfield School District or by law, or the school board may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only, majority vote required. Operating budget estimated tax impact per 1,000 is 25 cents. The default budget estimated tax impact per 1,000 is 8 cents. This was recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter, admin team, any additional context?
This is the budget as approved. This includes
Food
grants and
service
food
and
service.
grants.
Yep. Any additional comments, questions on this? Mr. Cutter, can you just remind us and those watching at home that 28,431,538, it currently represents what percentage increase over the current budget that we're in, that yes is a default?
Approximately 0.10.
Thank you. Any comments, additional comments, questions on Article 2? All right.
Is the
Go
default
ahead.
budget tax impact at 8 cents per thousand? I'm sure that's 100% accurate, just because you're only dropping 400,000 from your anticipated budget to default, but which, you know, you're going down almost 2/3.
It's only 360.
We will double check,
Double check
but
that.
we believe so.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
with
right.
the changes in the assessment values and kind of the swings and stuff like that, it takes those type of jumps in, so.
All right,
For
Article,
like just before our rate was something like $14, right? Now it's 9 something, right? So that has all shifted with assessments. So it's frustrating when you look at these numbers, because when we first saw it, we were like, Jesus Christ,
So we're
0.25.
comparing to a different tax rate?
Yeah, because the town got reassessed.
But why would we use one number from one and one from the other?
These are because of the operating and the default, the two different tax rates here. What I'm saying is like we previously could report out on the number, for example, in FY '25, the number was $13.81. I'm just looking over Julie's shoulder right now. While like FY '27 for our operating, the projected local tax rate would be $9.98, but that got readjusted because the
Right,
assessment.
but shouldn't
values.
both of these be for the upcoming year that we are
They are.
voting on?
So would you just
So
do
why
it?
should there be a difference?
It's just that it looks different than last time. Like last time around, a smaller, the same amount would yield a smaller increase.
Correct, on the
But
actual
now,
dollar.
a smaller amount yields a larger increase. It's gonna be the same methodology. You go in and you're like, well, the proposed increases are $2.25. My house is worth 600 grand, 600 times 2.25, whole crap. So,
I mean, it really seems like this whole, tax impact thing is not being used. I assume it was intended to give people an idea of how much it's going to affect their taxes, which seems like it doesn't do.
well, it's because it gets finalized in like
And it's
November,
like
December, based on,
directionally, you have to imagine, you have to just remember that this budget is also 18 months out looking.
Yeah, and I think to address that concern, that's why we do the voter's guide. So like when we do a voter's guide, we can get more specific to say like on a $600,000 house, this would increase your taxes by
That's a good
$80.
It's good
right?
context. I think it's
Yeah.
good for Mr. Olson. Like, they're required by law. There's only certain things they can put in, like on the ballot, which is what we're looking at here. Is essentially the ballot. In the voter's guide, they can put all that additional context and information, which
Sure, it just
if-
seems incredibly misleading the way that these are put on the ballot.
it's the
And I would
added.
have to imagine that the intent of the law was so that you weren't misleading people.
No,
don't
it-
disagree with you on that.
It indicates the additional taxation, so like, take last year's bill and what you add to it, so it doesn't take like it's gonna take, 15 cents to, or.
And then we're back to all those zeros that clearly have a tax impact.
Right.
But we're just pretending they don't on the ballot.
So,
Anything else for Article 2 this evening? All right, Article 3. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Litchfield School District and the Litchfield Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level over those paid in the prior fiscal year. Year 2026-2027, the estimated increase is $263,711. Year 2027 through 2028, the estimated increase is $483,100. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $263,711 for fiscal year 2027, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact per 1,000 is 13 cents. This has been recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter.
Yep, so this is the LEA agreement, which we're excited about. A lot of hard work went into this year for this agreement. Looking at certainly our neighboring towns and our cohorts, this is a significant value to the taxpayers, and is a very responsible agreement.
Mr. O'Connell, Ms. Darling, any additional comments?
Yeah, I mean, we're happy for the partnership with the LEA, you know. It was a smooth negotiations and feel like we got to a good point, so.
Comments, questions on Article 3 this evening?
We can't get a table showing the tax impact for the 2 years.
I didn't hear.
Can't get a
sorry.
table for the tax impact on the 2 years to show the significant increase.
We can check if we can put that on with the DRA. You know, obviously we run this through legal. This is how they recommended to show it. DRA's got to ultimately like approve it. They told us to put the 5 years on for that first one and told us to leave this one like this, so.
Yeah.
We can ask again.
It's a good follow-up question to ask. Anything else on Article 3?
What's that?
It can be in the voter's guide.
Yeah.
I still think that if you're allowed to put it on Article 1,
I think it has to
find
do
it
with.
very
that's a-
hard to
Has to do with the
believe that.
bonding, yeah, it has to do with the bonding. Because they're still speculative of what that second year is, right? Because you're doing it, like that second year is based on really when it's negotiated, so we were negotiating the months of October and
Based on
November.
current staffing
That
levels.
staffing level,
Yeah.
right? So by the time you actually pay that out, it's 2 years down the road, you're just gonna have a ton of variables attached.
But I'll be honest,
Extra hit
th-
on
this,
the-
th- without
term.
showing the table, this allows you at the negotiation table to say, take a little bit less of an increase in year 1, and I'll take care of you in year 2, because I don't have to disclose to the voters in year 2 of the agreement
But you can
what
take
that
it-
tax impact's.
You can take a stab at it. If it's 13 cents the first year, you know it's gonna be at least twice that the next year.
Yep.
Gonna be
And then include, and then.
23 cents.
But
22 cents.
I do have specific questions regarding specific things. I can, when I get a moment, I'll type them up, because I have questions about some of the outcomes on these. Obviously, you can't change it now, but it can influence my decision on whether or not I think it's a value. So I will.
You can send those as a follow-up. Thank
Is
you.
there any changes to healthcare or anything like that?
Kind of, right? So they're shifting from the school care 1.0 plan to the school care 2.0 plan. So that saves us money as a district. Now, we didn't change the percentage paid out because we were shifting them to that cheaper plan, right? Where there's more out-of-pocket costs for the employees. So we didn't go and chase down also a percentage shift on that. So there's about a $90,000 savings for the district in year 1 of that contract for health insurance.
If this doesn't pass, then that 90,000 has to be absorbed back in the operating budget?
Correct. So like we reflected that in our budgeting, right? So like the salary increase, I'm gonna use round numbers because I don't have them exactly like right in front of me, but I can get them. The salary benefits, the salary like increase is like 340,000, whatever it is, for just like for the new salaries that we negotiated. But we save about $90,000 in benefits because of the health insurance savings. So that's why you see that year 1 there netted out at about 263. So if like the contract was to fail, they stay on that 1.0 health insurance. That those numbers have been factored in like our proposed budget because we have to protect ourselves against that scenario, right? In both the default and the proposed.
And there's still no protection against another massive payout.
There's no, well, we can get to that, another
That's
warrant
one of
articles.
the future warrant articles that I have questions on.
Yeah, so we can get to that in another warrant article. Likewise, you know, as I've mentioned in board meetings, I think I've mentioned at budget committee meetings, we are examining different health insurance, I guess brokers, or how we approach health insurance with everybody. And we're in active kind of pursuit of that. I think a lot of school districts are because of what was happening
Right.
with
But
school
we
care.
can't change for 2 years.
Nope. not true.
Not true.
And we are leading the charge. I believe we are leading the charge. We're kind of pioneers in this.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that. And I feel like if this budget committee is interested in learning a little bit more about that, like with some of the numbers, we could probably share that in a non-public setting.
I don't want to get too far down there. Thank you, but I gotta protect some things that I know, and I just don't want to say them publicly right now.
No, I understand. No, but from a taxpayer point of view, there's currently no protection on on an assessment, and no way to split that, say, with the 90-10 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
It would
so
be
I think that's a
fully
good question.
on the taxpayer.
So the way that it was interpreted by a legality standpoint, because we asked that question.
Well, which
at
we
the
just have the
assessment.
next time, put it as an invoice for coverage or something, change the wording on it.
School care would need to change the wording on it, yeah.
Because the way it was completely unfair to put it entirely on the taxpayer.
It was
I'm
a,
gonna-
it was
I'm
a
gonna
challenging
state it.
pill for us to swallow, I will tell you that, yes.
So, anything else on Article 3 this evening?
It seems, I don't understand why we're playing middleman on the health coverage in the first place when we're negotiating with an organization. They have an organization that exists explicitly for collective bargaining. Why can't they go bargain for their own health insurance? Why do you put it on the taxpayers to then figure it out and then come back and negotiate it and then get screwed if something changes? Why are we an unnecessary middleman in this process?
I think like most businesses, employers provide health insurance for their
I
employees.
understand
right?
that it's the
usually
social,
at least 80-20
I understand that it's conventional
The
at
private
this
sector.
point, but it doesn't make sense.
So are you suggesting that the LEA just go figure it out?
Yeah, I'm suggesting that that's what they exist for, is to collectively bargain for things. They represent
They are bargaining for
the
it.
people,
It's a part
yes,
of their
but they're going through an
negotiations.
unnecessary third party. And it
They're-
seems to not be good for us.
Yeah, but their
So
employer.
Are
if
you
their
proposing that
employer-
we don't
Yeah.
provide health insurance?
Why can't it just be accounted for why can't they do it on their own? They're already one collective organization. You don't have a bunch of separate I personally don't think that the employer-run healthcare system is a good system in the first place. I think it's a lot of, we go on a tangent there.
I just think
But in
there's
this case, there's a very obvious way to get around that.
I just think there's an expectation, right,
Right.
amongst.
I think if we were not to offer health insurance, we'd have no teachers.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I'm getting at, right?
I'm not saying that the value goes away. I'm saying that the negotiation part, why is it on school administrators to negotiate the healthcare
Like,
of
why are we,
everybody? It
why
makes
are we
no
doing it
sense.
right now?
Yeah, why are
Because
we doing
they are
it?
the employer. Yeah,
Right.
they're the employer.
So it's gonna, if we get a better deal on health insurance, it's gonna benefit the district financially, which ultimately benefits the taxpayers.
Right, except for when it doesn't, like we just saw.
Correct, which is why we're trying to
But
find a
why
better
is it
deal.
our,
now.
why is it our problem? It's not.
But let's talk about the years where it has benefited the taxpayer through credits, right? So
But then
there's been.
largely go back to the users.
You're gonna have to offer a larger salary for them to go out and procure their own health insurance.
This is
So either
the
you're
first
paying
Alright,
year.
so I'm gonna-
it hasn't.
I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move us on. Us debating the merits of the health insurance isn't pertinent to this particular article.
I think it's expensive for us.
So moving, anything else on Article 3 this evening? The teacher contract. All right, Article 4 doesn't require any action on our part. That just has to do if Article 3 fails. And it recommended by the school board via a vote of 3-1, essentially says, shall the Litchfield School District, if Article 3 is defeated, authorize the school board to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 3 cost items only, majority vote required. No action on our part. Article 5,
We
no,
should throw a cost on that one, because if you actually have a vote, there's gonna be a cost. Realistically, it's not free.
This is just to have the meeting.
Yeah, but if you have a meeting and you're authorized to have a meeting, you're going to have one. You need ballots. It's just, to me, it doesn't, it's.
No, this is literally to have a meeting.
You're asking that if there was a meeting, then
Then there would be a cost.
essentially there would be a vote.
Yeah, because they'd have a special election.
For the 25 people that show up, you give them a little piece of paper and they can vote.
All right, Article
do it
5.
that way.
Article 5, also no action on our part, but a great warrant article that I'm going to read anyway. Shall the Litchfield School District authorize the Litchfield School Board to name the baseball field at Campbell High School after James Jimmy Gorman? Coach Gorman was the original baseball coach at Campbell High School and led the Campbell High School baseball team to 6 state championships. Majority vote required, recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0.
I guess my only question would be, well, as a voter, is there a policy related to naming things? Because are we gonna?
There's a hyperlink, right, if you click on Article
'Cause I know we named
5.
the school, you know, the auditorium.
Yep.
But do we end up naming
That's how
every
that came
room?
about.
Like,
There's a
Yeah.
policy for it. The
Okay.
board reviewed the policy. We discussed this. We voted on this maybe a month ago at this point.
At least, maybe. more.
Yeah, we actually had
Got a good
resident-
turnout.
We had individuals from Florida
Wow.
fly up just for our board meeting.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts speak in favor of this.
yeah, obviously it doesn't impact us. I'm just curious because are we gonna end up with naming every classroom?
No, if you click on that hyperlink right there in Article 5, it has
Okay.
the policy
Alright.
and what we're doing for it, so.
All right.
Policy FF.
Article 6, this one actually does have Budget Committee recommendations. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $250,000 to be added to the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund established in 2005 for the purpose of funding school capital improvements, building maintenance, and repairs in Litchfield School District? Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact is 12 cents. Recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter, Mr. O'Connell, Ms. Darling.
Yeah, so this is the exact same article that you saw last year.
For the roof.
For the roof, yep. And the board talked a lot about, with the Article 1, do we have this as tax impact, not tax impact, et cetera. We decided as a board we want to keep with last year and have this be consistent because it should be leveled with last year, given that it was voted yes. So this will be continued with a tax impact to continue building up this reserve account for the replacement of Campbell's roof in sometime.
Yeah, I think just keep highlighting it's the Campbell's roof because people voted for it specifically because there was a purpose.
There
They
is
understand it.
100% a purpose for
You're
this.
not able to add that to the warrant article
No.
itself.
But it'll be in the voter guide.
Because once they do the roof, then they'll come up with their next big project. The track or something else.
Any other comments, questions on Article 6 this evening?
Just one comment, if at all possible, if the school could also follow suit with what the town did. I did like the
what's
red
that?
writing, that I didn't have to go hunt around to try to find out what the current
Oh,
balance
yeah.
is on these.
Yeah.
As we're going through and voting, I thought
Yeah.
that was super helpful, and because it is a working document, we should be able to do that.
I think for all of the funds, the rest of them as well, I think that's a good call.
In the email that I had sent last night, I linked it to the document. Did you?
Just put it in the document.
Yeah, then I guess I gotta go to the different funds to,
We can add to
Hold
the
on.
document.
I'm trying, guys. Like, I'm trying to make it easy.
For who?
For you, I gave you the link. Just click the link.
I think,
Agreed.
I gave you 2 links in the email, one to warrant and one to the financials.
Which then has the.
Like, I can't-
okay. Article 7. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be added to the Employee Benefits Reserve Fund established in March 2022 for the purpose of funding the payment of negotiated employee benefits, including but not limited to health insurance reimbursements, changes in coverage or policies chosen by employees, severance benefits, and such other benefits as are from time to time negotiated and become contractual obligations of the district, with this sum to come from the June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1 of this year with no additional amount to be raised from taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact $0.00. Recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter, Mr. O'Connell, Ms. Darling.
Yeah, so this reserve account was set up in March of 22 for the purpose of not continuing to raise and appropriate taxes or have that be in our operating budget for anticipated retirements. And so there are some anticipated retirements that some of this money's going to be used for. And then there's a nice round number this year
Yeah.
because we are planning for the risk of school care and making sure that we start to have a little bit of a reserve in the event that school care becomes insolvent.
I don't like commingling the funds. How much of this is related to severance and how much is related to the reserve?
Yep, I think it's 4,426, right?
For
For
the-
severance, look at that, did off the top of my head. Yep, 4,426 is severance, and then the rest would be to build this up a little bit for those kind of emergency
Yeah,
situations.
so me personally, my hope was that that fund would be related to severance. I don't like the commingling of funds with other things. To me, it gets lost. And then it can get, some future group of people could Well, it's for severance. I don't know why it's 125,000.
We're not changing the intent of that fund. It has always been for employee benefits, which is including health insurance.
Yeah, yes, but the discussion had always been also, it's to roll these, the severance into, so now we're commingling funds, and I personally don't like it.
I know you're gonna add this. What's the current balance of that fund?
Current balance.
Click the link.
Yeah, it's like
$191,730.
Sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
$191,730.
And that is all tied to very specific teachers
Right.
approaching retirement who have handed in retirement letters but have not yet retired.
So I would rather us have created a separate fund to protect the risk of, against school care than commingling purposes. I personally don't like it.
So that was not loved by legal, because we have this one existing already.
I'm sure. I don't really care what your legal thinks. I don't like it.
I care what legal thinks.
Any additional,
They should be happy to charge you to set up another fund.
any additional,
Well, I think the additional comment, Chairman Sun, is as we do explore changing insurance, right, just as a district, one of the things that is clear is having a reserve account for future insurance plans is going to be necessary, right? And so having an account like this as we make a switch is essential to us being able to make that switch.
But what happens if that switch costs more than what now I'm gonna have to re-raise money for severances again, which is the entire point of this fund to begin with. So to me, having a separate fund for your health insurance risk should be separate from
were you,
your.
were you saying that legal didn't like the idea of having a separate account for the health insurance risk?
So in their view, we have an account for it already, this.
Their view is that's what this is.
Yes, that this covers anything you want related to benefits.
But currently, it's funded by.
Currently, we've
severances.
only utilized it for the severance.
I would highly recommend.
But the way that it was written,
Yes, I didn't
this
like it.
is your account for anything kind of benefit, I'm summarizing, but anything kind of benefit related.
Well, we have more than one capital improvement fund.
I know, but they're specific to things within that,
So make
right?
this one specific to covering healthcare risks associated with overages or.
I think that the challenge with that, I understand what you're saying. I think the challenge is then you're only using it for that specific
can just-
purpose,
you can just-
right?
you
Like
can-
if you.
Wind it down.
Or
again,
not
with
add
the-
money to it
The
when you're.
broader, here, let's say we get to a health insurance solution that minimizes our risk, which would be the ultimate goal of all that. You could actually save money in severances down the road because you already have money in this account and you have multiple purposes you can use it for. Like, I think that's why, I hear what you're saying about being more specific with the purpose of a reserve fund, and I think that is valuable at times. There's also value in having more broad reserve funds where you can access the money for a variety of reasons for
Yes.
emergencies.
And I think you're gonna find that based on past events, people are a little more gun shy on overly broad funds. So to me, I would support this for pensions and severances. I'm now at a quandary. I don't know. I want to vote for it, but I don't like it.
Wasn't this your idea?
This is my idea, but my idea was for funding severance benefits,
I know.
not for
Ju-
covering.
Just as the board thinks about this one over the next few weeks, again, as we contemplate insurance and what that might look like for the district in the future, having this is essential.
All right.
Just one last comment, just
Go ahead.
again, going back to the red writing, this one is a great example. I'll be honest, you told us the information about the severance stuff during the joint meetings back at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
If I do click the link and don't need hand holding to go find the balance, I
We'll add
don't
'em.
think I'm gonna find the dirty little secret that
We will add
you've
them.
got 4 people that have already allocated X amount of what's in the balance. So I'm just gonna look at the balance and go, why do you need 50,000 more? So, any pieces like that would be very, very helpful.
I agree.
As we go through this process.
All right. Article 8. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate up to a sum of $50,000 to be added to the Technology Capital Reserve Fund established in March of 2016 for the purpose of funding the acquisition and replacement of hardware, software, and other technology equipment, with this sum to come from the June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1 of this year with no additional amount to be raised from taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated tax impact $0.00. Recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter, Mr. O'Connell, Ms. Darling.
We have a new IT director this year, just as a reminder. It is clear that we have IT infrastructure needs. And what this is trying to do is build up this capital reserve fund, which has 80 or so thousand, $83,000 in it. As that IT director starts to make some decisions about replacement of our infrastructure.
Help me understand why this wouldn't just be in the budget.
Well, I think we put a lot in the budget this year, and we had to kind of call it a day at
I
some
thought it was
point.
partly for like failing UPS
Well,
systems.
and that's what that was where my,
Unexpected failures.
that's my thought process too. Was like dollars that are there for some sort of server or piece of equipment that breaks unexpectedly that maintenance cost doesn't cover. You've got it there for this, but the way this reads, replacement of acquisition and replacement almost makes it sound like it's a part of a strategic 5-year plan that I know Brendan's been talking
It's
about.
actually very similar to the one the town has.
But you
It-
don't, but you
And
use
the
yours
language
for
of this is
broken,
not new.
unexpected.
This is the same language.
We've used it for, replacement of capital equipment that's beyond its life cycle,
So why didn't we tap into that during the past budget?
which past budget.
The budget we're reviewing right now, which has a lot of very high increases in tech.
None of it's capital, most of it's just licensing.
It says software.
It's, we used it. so
That
we-
one's a software.
Yeah, that one does say.
This is school one does, yes.
So when we see massive increases in software, why don't we tap into this?
We have other needs in the district when it comes to technology, and I think that the new IT director's plan is to try to phase some of that into the budget, so it's not overwhelming every year. Having said that, of course, sometimes things fail, and they don't make it to that next.
So I guess I'd like to see, has he provided his 5-year plan?
He's working on that.
Well,
I mean,
so-
he's still getting his feet under him.
Because we're talking about adding, I would also argue that there's some things we could subtract. We talked about how we could better allocate Chromebooks within the middle school. So I mean, I think, sure, there's gonna be adds, but they might also be able to be offset by decreases. So,
I think in general, this might be a good point to just talk about reserve funds and the philosophy behind them, right? Like, I think there's, you have reserve funds for specific purposes at times, right? Like, we are dedicating a reserve fund right now with the idea of the CHS roof, right? Like, that is
Very
the direct
logical.
purpose that we're going for that, right? But there's also power of like the unknown. If we're gonna have tighter and tighter budgets, we need to have reserve funds that actually have some money in them. So if the unexpected happens, we can access some stuff, right? Like, so I know it's a little of both sides here, but we gotta kind of work with that. If we can't build the fat into our budget anymore, we need emergency funds somewhere, and that's kind of the point of the reserve funds. So we're trying to do that in kind of a strategic idea right here. This year, we're putting a lot and hoping to square away a lot in technology. That's why you saw huge increases in the budget, but we're far from done. And we don't want to make those type of increases a regular recurrence, which is why we're trying to put some additional funds in these reserve funds, because we just don't know where things are going. Technology is wild.
I agree with you on that. I think as I read this, and you may be right that I just may have not caught this in the past, and if so, that's my fault. I think the only word in here that I'm uncomfortable with is software, because I do agree with you. Equipment fails, we need to have a savings account that we can go leverage that wasn't in Brendan's budget to resolve that critical equipment. To me, I don't think software falls into that budget. So maybe we press that as a revision. I don't know. I can't imagine you would leverage your capital reserve fund to purchase software.
I don't think we would.
I don't think we would either. I think that's just the way it was written in 2016.
Fair enough. You're
Right,
probably right.
Yeah.
So
All
I
right.
guess
I know that's how it was written.
Just to counter that, though, I mean, John, your budget on the town side of things and the school side of things, I mean, we really haven't made any cuts in terms of your license support and maintenance.
Right.
I understand that, yes, you are going to end up with equipment that then is going to go end of service life. I can't sign up for it now, in your case, now at this point, you have to build a new cluster, okay? I get that. It's just building up that fund when, for the most part, most of your equipment, and you're going to get manufacturers, and I get that maybe we ended up having some lax IT in the past that didn't keep track and be able to plan. But usually, most of the manufacturers, like a Cisco Meraki, will tell you, 3-4 years ahead of time, hey, these pieces of equipment are gonna go end of service life, so you should be able to budget for it. And I understand that, look, these reserve funds are for when things break, but we're already paying for the maintenance and support to have RMAs done to be able to get replacement equipment when something dies. So I support the reserve funds wholeheartedly. I just would like to see this 50,000 put someplace else on something that we don't already spend support and maintenance for replacement costs on something that, if it breaks somewhere else in your district, you've got the funds to be able to do it.
It's a fair point, right? And you have to just remember that the sequence in these articles matters, right? And this is towards the end.
It's a good call.
Strategically, because, we're funding the most important ones according to the board and the board's priorities first.
So what would be the target amount in this fund?
I mean, we're looking to get it to what we're doing, which is about over $100,000, about 130 with this.
So your goal is 130?
Well, I think 150 is my actual goal, but I didn't think we could get to 150 this time.
I guess, but what would be the basis for 150,000?
You know,
Like, I can understand a
yeah.
maintenance thing, like, okay, well, a boiler, an HVAC unit, something.
I think that's a good question. I think with
what is the-
special, so the special ed one, our target was about 2 out of district placements, and we're at about 1.5 right now, and we're laying off that one right now because we had a significant, deposit into that from this last warrant fund.
Yeah, we did.
And I think that was important, like with where special ed costs or stuff like that. I think 150 is a round number that I just like. I don't have it because of a personal specific piece of equipment or anything like that. I think it's a round number and it's different than that special ed. And again, I think just at some point you got to have money in your reserve funds because it's helpful.
We're budgeting tighter. The
Not for
superintendent.
this department.
Okay, but-
So the question, I mean.
We're budgeting tighter, folks. I mean,
Sure. So my question would be, like, if we don't know, then how do we know that 75 isn't the right number and we're already there? So I guess I would like to see, understand, what is the basis for our target number?
We can have Brendan create something that makes more sense of it.
Mr. Taylor, do you have a
Yeah, I
follow-up?
was just gonna say, going back to Mr. Cutter's comment, then I take a look at, if the order matters.
Yeah.
Article 9, you probably have 1,000 ticking time bombs that you can throw out on the table as far as things at GMS, that this capital improvement and expendable trust fund could address, versus, like I said, a low risk of you're already paying and we haven't touched any of that maintenance and support contracts. So
this is
I failed last year, though.
this is where it is because of Article 1, and this is where it is because of the balance in the capital improvement expendable trust fund at the moment, which is
24,000.
324,000.
I
All
guess
right.
then if we also take a look at like a Campbell roof that potentially fails
50
faster
grand,
than
right?
you expected.
So this one doesn't get, we can't use this.
That's
fund for
Article
Campbell.
6.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where sometimes you box yourself in on sometimes the purpose of these a little bit.
Article 9, even though we're not there yet, is more about
New.
study, new build, architects, etc.
But you can use it for actual improvement projects.
We have in the past.
Didn't we,
Yeah.
didn't we tap into this particular fund for the LMS entrance, new LMS entrance a few years
You may
back?
have, yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
All right. Anything else on
Canopy, yeah.
Anything else on Article 8? All right, Article 9. Shall the Litchfield School District vote to raise and appropriate up to a sum of $100,000 to be added to the Capital Improvements Expendable Trust Fund established in March of 2020 for the purpose of funding the study, planning, and cost of new construction or renovation of existing facilities in the Litchfield School District, with this sum to come from the June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1 of this year, with no additional amount to be raised from taxation, majority vote required. Estimated tax impact $0.00, recommended by the school board by a vote of 4-0-0. Mr. Cutter.
Yeah, again, sequencing matters, right? This is the last of the dollar amount of articles, and I think, Mr. Olson, just for your benefit, right, you're seeing a lot of these with no additional amount of money to be raised from taxation, right? We don't know, as a board yet, what our unassigned fund balance is going to be at the end of June. We're in December, right? So we have 6 months to go, right? The town is closing their books in a couple of weeks. We're not. And so when we say no additional amount to be raised from taxation, that's very dependent upon there is money at the end of the year, right? And so, and then they're funded right? Just
Yeah.
going through the process, then they're funded in the order of these articles, right? And so Article 9 being the last one, if all the other articles are funded and there's not $100,000 left, right, then this doesn't get funded at all. It's just
There's
process-wise, that's how it
There's
works.
350K in
But the
front
alternative
in
is-
front of this.
It's money that could go back to the taxpayers. So there's no additional taxation, but it does have an impact on the tax
To,
rate.
to your point, there's 350K in front of this. If you end up with 325K,
This doesn't get
this
touched.
doesn't get touched. Nothing gets added to the capital improvements
So
expendable
why are
trust
we
fund.
adding another 100 grand to a fund that has over 300 grand while also having a bond that addresses this
Yep.
on the warrant?
In the event that Article 1 fails,
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure that we're still having some money in that account.
300 grand's not enough?
For Griffin? No.
How much did we hire this contractor for, this architect again for?
Well, I mean, you could use any of this money in here to offset, say, that $23 million, right? Like, there's no harm in putting more money into this account.
Other than it's a way to offset the increases by returning more money.
But again, this is like, you're
Right,
gonna
so
need
if
to
we take
do
out a
something at
bond, we can
Griffin.
use this against bond payment, which saves taxpayer
You
money.
can, but there's no guarantee you will.
You have a responsible board, Gary.
So, any questions on Article 9? All right, and Article 10 does not have budget committee impact, but
But this one here,
But
just
it
for
does.
Ms. Douglas and Carrie, right, so,
you want me to read it real
Are you,
quick?
are you telling me about it, or is it just one I said?
well, this is the one about Kearsarge that you
No,
said,
I
right?
sent you this. I was
Yeah.
pleased to see this on the
Yeah.
warrant.
So let me read it real quick, and then you can add context. Article 10, shall the Litchfield School District vote to designate the Litchfield School District schools as open enrollment schools programs under the provisions of RSA 194D to allow up to 5 students who reside outside the Litchfield School District attend Litchfield School District schools, and to limit the percentage of Litchfield School District students who may attend open enrollment schools programs located outside of the Litchfield School District to 0%. Majority vote required. School board hasn't voted on it yet. Mr. Cutter.
Yeah, this one's changing by the day within the state. We talked a lot about this one last night. We haven't voted on it because we're not sure if it's gonna stay as a warrant article or not.
Or if it becomes a policy?
Or what's gonna, what's gonna happen over the next
It's
couple
a
of weeks,
lot of
candidly.
uncertainty, yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate you getting ahead of it, because I know other schools are discussing it. I'm like, wait, I haven't heard this.
Other schools have it as a warrant article this
I
year.
think you just be consistent then.
Right,
It
so-
doesn't harm, unless the legal says not
We had
otherwise.
Mr. Peoples, our state representative, with us last night, and he was of the opinion that this is not necessary at all, right?
Sure.
So.
In which case, then it doesn't have any harm to put it on the ballot.
Well, right, so, anyway, it is a discussion point, we are thinking about it, it is top of mind, it's definitely top of mind for the superintendent and the administrative team, right? And so,
If I may share one piece of
Yeah,
this
please.
that might be of interest to the budget committee. So you'll notice that we've limited the open enrollment outside of Litchfield School District to 0%. And why that's relevant, there was a pretty important case that was just decided at the Supreme Court level here in New Hampshire with Pittsfield School District versus the Prospect Mountain School District. So Prospect Mountain, years and years and years ago, had a similar warrant article to this where they would say that they would allow kids to attend their school district via an open enrollment law that was established, I think, in like 1990 or 1992, but would not allow students to leave their district under this open enrollment. Pittsfield had nothing in place in regards to open enrollment. They weren't saying they were an open enrollment district or that they were not an open enrollment district. And so some students from Pittsfield started attending Prospect Mountain High School this past year. And Pittsfield sued because they said that they were not responsible for, there's a lot, I'm summarizing the case, but like they weren't responsible. That was a parental choice to send their kids to Prospect Mountain. The parents should pay the tuition. They didn't say they were an open enrollment school, so they're not responsible for paying for the kids to attend. The courts ruled it didn't matter because Pittsfield took no stance on open enrollment, that they were responsible for the 80% tuition rate for the kids to attend Prospect Mountain. So this has caused concern for districts such as the vast majority in New Hampshire. Prospect Mountain and I believe Franklin are the only 2 districts that are considered open enrollment districts. And there's lots of nuance to this when it comes to area agreements and charter schools and homeschooling and all sorts of other things. So, but essentially, you need to take a stance, right? And there's a lot of legislation up in the air around open enrollment right now. So the recommendation is to be at 0% that you're sending out, so you're not accidentally caught paying tuition unknowingly to another district because a student has enrolled in that district. This is the recommendations we're getting from our state associations is changing. 2 board meetings ago, my advice to the board was to sit back and allow legislation to play out. Some changes happened between that and last night's meeting, which is why all of a sudden there was a warrant article attached to this. So there is a cost to this. We don't want to inadvertently put the district in a situation where we're paying out money for our students to attend another public high school that we had no part of the decision making when it comes to that. So
the incoming students, their home school would pay tuition.
to us essentially, yes. But
Or
like if
Griffin
I'm
or
being
LMS, whichever school they go to.
if I'm being like just
I said
completely
No, I'm sorry, I thought you said Campbell.
like honest, right? Like pretty much every school around here is gonna do this, so no one's gonna be able to actually send kids out. 'Cause
But
they're all
you've
doing
protected
zero.
yourself.
But you've protected yourself, yeah. Now, this is different than, because it's a good question that either came up last night or another time, is completely different than something like CTE, right? Like, we have an agreement with Alvern and with Pinkerton. There are different types of agreements to send our students there to attend classes.
This doesn't
This
supersede
affect
that?
It does not supersede that, because this is specific to the open enrollment component of state law,
Got it.
not anything else.
That's why it references that RSA.
Correct.
All right, thank you for that context. All right, so that wraps up our town and school warrant article presentations. As a reminder, we've got some follow-up items from both the town and the school, and obviously Article 1 on the school side, which we'll get additional information on, and we'll be voting on all or the vast majority of these on Thursday, January 8th. In the interest of time, unless there's any pressing town or school updates.
Just one, Mr. Chairman.
Go
I'll
ahead.
keep it real quick. Ms. Douglas, you had sent an email
Oh, yeah.
regarding a new law and some school information that you were looking for. The district is putting that together, and I've asked the district to have that in time for presentation in the budget hearing.
Okay.
So it's made public, it's in the budget hearing, budget committee has it, it's good.
Well, that works for us too, not me, because then if we vote, get the information and then vote to recommend or not recommend, we'll have all the information.
And this was, in reference to that, this was a request that Ms. Douglas made. It's a newly required report entitled Mandatory Report to Voters on School Expenses. The details of the requirements can be found in RSA 18976. I looked at it today. It details like what's the average teacher salary, what's
Specific
the
graphs.
administrative
Yeah.
salaries.
Yep.
It's a report that every school district's required to publish now.
And it has to be posted prior to the budget hearing,
Yep.
actually, so and it's being prepared right now. The Business Administrator Association here in New Hampshire, we've had one person that's created a template that we're all
Right.
going to
I
use,
anticipate
so.
that the first time is gonna be the most, the
Exactly.
heaviest
This is
lift.
a 10-year lift back.
Then going forward, you'll have the data, so it's just a matter of updating it.
Correct. And the one thing too is that, the information is not going to be exactly, from our budget. You have to, according to the law, you have to adjust things for inflation. So it does skew some of the information, but we have to follow it as it is. We can have another page that we can post next to it for some clarification on that.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move us to member input, new business, school facilities.
No, my last email is, we'll meet after the new year, likely because all the community forums and they're working through what the school will do on warrant article 1.
Thank you. Capital improvement. Thank you. Any other member input, new business this evening? Seeing none, I will open up public input once again. Seeing no one here, I will close public input. As a reminder, next meeting Thursday, January 8th, 7 p.m. here, voting on warrant articles. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Motion by Mr. Taylor. I missed the second by Mr. Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed.